Chapter 1284. How could this be? Li Zhongjiu tried his best to recall. Back then, I only demolished one. If he remembered correctly, Li Zhongjiu had indeed only demolished one palace. The Sparrow Divine Palace was made up of 3 palaces. How could it have ended up like this? This is impossible. Bing Ke also exclaimed, her eyes filled with disbelief. At this moment, the Sparrow Divine Palace was in ruins. The majestic palace, and even the surrounding array were completely destroyed. The divine might from before was also completely destroyed at this moment. Be careful, these people have left traps. Li Zhongjiu directly reached out and stopped Bing Ke, who wanted to rush forward. Although it was already a ruin, it was obvious that these people still had some tricks up their sleeves. Where are the elders? And in Yinran, they're all gone. The ice sparrow panicked as she looked at the ruins of the Sparrow God Palace. This was the place where she had cultivated for nearly 300 years. From the beginning, the ice sparrow seemed to have been adopted by the 3 elders. She had never been to any other place. Li Zhongjiu immediately reached out his hand and waved. He directly captured the original aura of this place. However, when these people took action, they cleaned up the aura completely. Interesting, they're all veterans. Li Zhongjiu's eyes shone with a cold light. They didn't leave any traces in the original environment. It could be said that they did it quite cleanly. However, they were able to destroy a god-level formation and even kill 2 sovereigns. There weren't many people who could do this. Will the elders be okay? It seems that you don't know anything. Li Zhongjiu shook his head. Bing Ke looked like a fool who didn't know anything. He reached out his hand and released the soul-burning formation. The soul-burning formation fell to the ground. At the same time, Li Zhongjiu also removed the soul-burning formation. The 3rd elder immediately escaped from the terrifying soul-burning formation. After nearly half a year of crazy refining, the 3rd elder had a belly full of anger. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to kill Li Zhongjiu, not many people would have been able to hold on until now. Li Zhongjiu, I'll destroy you, the 3rd elder shouted angrily after he appeared. He couldn't wait to kill Li Zhongjiu. However, he saw Li Zhongjiu standing with his hands behind his back and a cold smile on his face. The 3rd elder was a little surprised. What was this guy trying to do? 3rd elder, the divine palace is gone, the ice sparrow said in a daze. When she saw the 3rd elder appear, she hurriedly complained to her elder. The 3rd elder turned around abruptly and discovered that the original Sparrow God Palace had been reduced to ruins. In just half a year, such a huge change had occurred. How could this be? Who did this? Was it you? The 3rd elder roared angrily. At the same time, he stared at Li Zhongjiu with bloodshot eyes. Only Li Zhongjiu would do such a thing to the divine palace. However, Li Zhongjiu couldn't have done such a thing with his strength. Li Zhongjiu wasn't strong enough to do so. However, the 3rd elder's mind was clouded by anger and hatred. In addition, Li Zhongjiu was an enemy of Sparrow God Palace, so it was only natural for him to point his sword at Li Zhongjiu. Idiot! Li Zhongjiu glanced at the 3rd elder. Did this old man become so brainless after he got older? He didn't even think before he spoke. How could he say something so brainless? I'll destroy you. 3rd elder circulated his yuan power. Due to his anger, he released all of his yuan power and directly activated it to its largest scale. Immediately, a wild wave was stirred up in the surrounding energy. With such a turbulent movement, the heaven-earth yuan qi, within a radius of 10,000 feet, seemed to be mobilized by the 3rd elder, gathering together with such a terrifying aura. Annihilation of the divine sparrow. A burning palm suddenly descended from the sky and blasted towards Li Zhongjiu. Idiot! This move was indeed powerful. But Li Zhongjiu didn't want to go head-to-head with her. Even if he did, he might not lose in the current situation. Li Zhongjiu wasn't a fool to waste his energy. With a wave of his hand, he summoned the primordial bell that had fallen to the side. When the chaotic yuan bell responded to Li Zhongjiu's summon, the 3rd elder was shocked. It was clearly his senior sister's chaotic yuan bell. Why would it appear in Li Zhongjiu's hands? It was actually in Li Zhongjiu's hands. Boom! Before the 3rd elder could fully comprehend what was happening, the chaotic yuan bell that came crashing down enveloped him. The attack that he had painstakingly formed had also vanished at this moment. Bang! The third elder was directly sealed by Li Zhongjiu's chaotic yuan bell. You hurry up and release the third elder. When Bing Ke saw this, she felt a considerable headache. What was happening all day long? Each one was more ridiculous than the last. Let her calm down first, Li Zhongjiu said indifferently. You wait here for me. After Li Zhongjiu finished speaking, he directly jumped into the ruins of the Sparrow God Palace. From the surrounding traces, it was obvious that the Sparrow God Palace was destroyed in an instant. The person who came was so powerful that it was unprecedented. No matter how hard Li Zhongjiu tried to recall, he couldn't find anyone who could do this. However, after seeing the Sparrow God Palace, Li Zhongjiu also knew that there were actually many secrets hidden in the Eldritch Land that he didn't understand in his previous life. It seemed that Li Zhongjiu in his previous life was still a little lacking. Didn't I tell you to stay where you are? Bing Ke's figure landed directly beside Li Zhongjiu. Li Zhongjiu also glanced at her and ignored her. Anyway, this Bing Ke didn't seem to be very bright. It was fine as long as she didn't ruin his plans. Even if the four supremes of the Dragon Clan attacked at the same time, they might not be able to create such a situation. They destroyed the Sparrow Divine Palace in an instant. The intruders are not simple. Your two elders have either escaped or been captured by them, Li Zhongjiu said. Could it be that they came for Yanran? At this moment, Li Zhongjiu was most worried about Qi Yanran's situation. Junior sister is cultivating in seclusion in the Flying Bird platform. If the three elders don't cultivate at the same time, she won't be able to appear unless she can fully understand the inheritance and inherit the power of the ancestors of the Sparrow God Palace. Flying Bird platform? This was the first time Li Zhongjiu had heard of this. So these people had trapped Yanran in such a place and forced her to accept their inheritance. Yes, according to the elders, the Flying Bird platform is a primitive ultimate treasure from the Eldritch Wilderness. Unless someone is strong enough to destroy the entire Eldritch Wilderness, only the three elders working together can activate the Flying Bird platform. Bing Ke said. Nonsense. What primitive ultimate treasure? I've never heard of it. Li Zhongjiu said disdainfully. Ordinary people might have been intimidated by such words, but Li Zhongjiu was someone who had dominated the Eldritch Wilderness in his previous life. Therefore, such things naturally didn't scare Li Zhongjiu. It's true. These primitive ultimate treasures have nothing to do with you humans. Before the human race was born, the primordial beasts had already ruled the Eldritch Wilderness. You came later. The first three primordial beasts refined the primitive ultimate treasures, Bing Ke said stubbornly. Although Bing Ke looked like a young woman in her 30s, her heart was as pure and stubborn as a child's. In fact, a 300-year-old primordial beast was just a teenage girl among humans. Chapter 1285. Li Zhongjiu indeed did not know about this. They even managed to get their hands on 3 ancient treasures. Then what are the other 2? Li Zhongjiu asked with a frown. One of them was the Flying Bird platform of the Sparrow Divine Palace. Since the other party had snatched it away, it meant that they knew about its existence. It seemed like the other 2 clans had done it. They must have something to do with it. The other one is the Dragon Island Immortal Palace of the Dragon Clan. As for the other one, I'm not sure either. However, I only know from the inherited memories that they are called the Heavenly Monster Clan. Bing Ke said. Heavenly Monster Clan. Li Zhongjiu had never heard of this name before. Not to mention, he had never met them before. To think that he would encounter such a weird situation. There were indeed many ancient secrets here. Heavenly Monster Clan? Fuck. Don't let me catch you guys. Li Zhongjiu could not help but curse. Clearly, he could guess that the Heavenly Monster Clan was the culprit. Seems like their goal is to snatch the Flying Bird platform. What did you just say? Dragon Island Immortal Palace? You're saying that the entire Dragon Island is actually an ancient treasure. Li Zhongjiu really didn't know about this. No wonder he couldn't figure it out before. How can this Dragon Island be suspended in the sky? Moreover, it's in a state of floating in the void. This is a bit too much. At that time, Li Zhongjiu also didn't know that these people had this kind of ability. He only thought that it was their old ancestor who created this Dragon Island. Now he finally understood, it was actually a magic treasure. Seems like the old ancestors of the dragon clan are quite powerful to be able to do this. Since the flying bird platform and the dragon island are of the same level, there shouldn't be any problems. Li Zongjio thought to himself. Should we let the third elder out first? Bing Ke said softly. Although Li Zongjio was always in a fierce state, Bing Ke could feel that Li Zongjio wasn't a bad person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have rescued her. Although he kidnapped her, he didn't do anything to her. If it wasn't for Li Zongjio, Ice Sparrow would have died long ago. So, Li Zongjio didn't hesitate and released the third elder of Sparrow God Palace. The third elder inside the primordial bell also calmed down. After thinking about it carefully, he realized that if it was really Li Zongjio who did this, then there was naturally no need for him to release her. He could have just locked her inside the array formation. If it was really Li Zongjio who did it, it was equivalent to directly rescuing Qi Yanran now. There was no need to keep her alive. Did he have to wait for her to come out and take revenge? He did not have such a bad taste. How could this be? Our Sparrow God Palace's tens of thousands of years of inheritance has been destroyed today. The third elder stood on the ruins in a daze. Bing Ke quickly came to the third elder to comfort him. At this moment, the third elder was very calm. He didn't continue to fight with Li Zongjio, mainly because he couldn't win at all. Instead of being sad here, it's better to find the enemy quickly. Tell me who took Yanran away. Li Zongjio said coldly. He mercilessly interrupted the third elder who was in melancholy. This was a waste of time. Either pack up quickly and take revenge, or die quickly if he felt that he didn't have the strength to take revenge. The third elder of Sparrow God Palace was not an ordinary person. He quickly came to his senses. Now is not the time to be sad. He must find the person. Although Sparrow God Palace was destroyed, she was still alive. He must rebuild Sparrow God Palace. What do you want to know? The third elder turned around and looked at Li Zongjio. Just now, the Ice Sparrow also told him everything that happened after she was locked in the soul-burning array. The process was very simple. After all, it didn't take long for her to be locked in the primordial bell. They naturally didn't know what happened after that. Li Zongjio also lost Qi Yanran's whereabouts. Now both sides were on the same side. Moreover, Li Zongjio used some unknown method to directly control the chaotic bell. The chaotic bell was extremely powerful. Even if one wanted to control it, it wouldn't be so easy. It should be known that the great elder of their oceanic world had been studying it for hundreds of years. But she had only reached the current level. It was not as good as what Li Zongjio had mastered in just half a year. This was something that the third elder admired. Everything, Li Zongjio said. How could he find his enemy if he didn't know the cause and effect? The third elder took a deep breath and explained everything that had happened. Of course, some of it was information that the third elder knew. There were also many things that the third elder had no way of coming into contact with at his current level. In short, the heavenly demon tribe wanted to gather the 3 primitive cardinal treasures so that they could control the entire primitive demon realm. The name of the primitive demon realm was actually the primitive demon realm. Of course, this only represented a part of the primitive demon realm. In fact, the primitive demon realm was even bigger. A part of it had always belonged to the primitive demon realm. That was why there were so many experts of the Yuan Beast clan here. In the beginning, the 3 primordial beast clans had directly pacified the 4 realms. The prehistoric demon realm had almost been pacified by the 3 demon clans. It was supposed to be a 3-way division of the world. However, some things happened later. For example, the Heavenly Sparrow clan had fallen to such a state. They were no longer worthy of guarding the so-called primitive cardinal treasures. As for the person who had attacked, it was most likely the Heavenly Demon tribe, the Heavenly Dragon clan, and the Heavenly Sparrow clan. They each had their own talents. However, the third clan called the Heavenly Demon tribe had the talents of both clans. Although their numbers had always been extremely small, their strength was extremely tyrannical. Originally, they had disappeared for a long time. Now they had actually made a comeback. Something must have happened. That was why such a situation had occurred. The Sparrow Divine Palace isn't strong enough to deal with the Heavenly Demon tribe. We can only protect ourselves. However, it seems like we can't even protect ourselves. The third elder let out a long sigh. She didn't know how her two senior sisters were doing, but they couldn't open the flying bird Dao platform. Protect ourselves? Haha, you guys were supposed to be dead. However, these guys have provoked someone they shouldn't have. Li Zhongjiu's eyes were overflowing with coldness. These people were really bold to dare to provoke Li Zhongjiu. In his previous life, Li Zhongjiu had cultivated for 3,000 years and had never heard of the Heavenly Demon Tribe. Obviously, the Heavenly Demon Tribe hadn't done much these days. Otherwise, they wouldn't have escaped Li Zhongjiu's eyes. No matter what the Heavenly Demon Tribe was, Li Zhongjiu wouldn't let them off so easily. He had to rip their heads off. The two people from the Sparrow Divine Palace looked at Li Zhongjiu in shock. They hadn't expected Li Zhongjiu to have the guts to confront the Heavenly Demon Tribe. Even the Sparrow Divine Palace had suffered a crushing defeat. How could they succeed? Don't worry. Your two senior sisters are definitely not dead. Li Zhongjiu said indifferently. Why? The third elder asked in surprise. It would be best if they weren't dead. However, how could Li Zhongjiu be so sure? Didn't you say that the Flying Bird Dao platform requires the three of you to work together to open it? If we kill the two of them, how are we going to open it? These people hadn't even thought of such a simple logic. As long as we spread the news that you're still alive, these people will definitely come knocking on our door. Li Zhongjiu had already thought of a solution. Since the Heavenly Demon Tribe wanted the Flying Bird Dao platform, he might as well beat them at their own game. Fortunately, he had caught one of them. Otherwise, he wouldn't know how to proceed. No, how can we let the elder take the risk? Bing Ke said hurriedly. Obviously, she didn't want her elder to take the risk. Li Zhongjiu was so evil that he wanted to use the elder as bait. This is a good plan. However, even if we find them, we're no match for them. Even the third elder, who was a venerable expert, admitted defeat. It was obvious that the Heavenly Demon Tribe's strength wasn't so simple. Just because you're no match for them doesn't mean that I'm no match for them. The two of you come with me, Li Zhongjiu said directly. There was no need for them to stay in this place any longer. However, they had to find a place to spread the news. Li Zhongjiu immediately thought of a place. This was the only place they could go. Chapter 1286. The Sky Suspension Mountain belonged to Do Ling-er's family. After all, only Do Ling-er's family existed in the core area of the Untainted Land. Li Zhongjiu did not know the rest, so he could only go to Do Ling-er's family. Fortunately, Li Zhongjiu knew Do Ling-er. Otherwise, the Do Ling-er's family would not end well. Li Zhongjiu was in a hurry to get things done, so he would not be too gentle. If anyone disagreed, he would kill half of their family members. And so on and so forth. Then these people would know what to do. No matter how stubborn they were, they would not dare to stand out at this time. The smartest thing to do was to admit defeat. The third elder had no other place to go. The only reason he followed Li Zhongjiu was that Li Zhongjiu had another treasure of the Sparrow Divine Palace. The chaotic bell was in his hands, so of course he had to follow Li Zhongjiu. After all, he would get the chaotic bell back sooner or later. Although Li Zhongjiu was not pleasing to the eye, at least Li Zhongjiu had the same purpose as them, which was to rescue Qi Yanran. After all, Qi Yanran was equally important to the Sparrow Divine Palace, so they could not give up on her. Therefore, the two of them could only follow Li Zhongjiu. As for Li Zhongjiu, Bing Ke did not care. It was up to him to come or not. However, if the third elder dared not to come, he would kidnap him. After all, those people would only come if the third elder was in his hands. In just half a year, such a thing had happened. If Li Zhongjiu had been present at that time, he would not have let such a thing happen. Fortunately, there were not many people in the Sparrow Divine Palace. Otherwise, it would have been a massacre. Fortunately, Bing Ke had been captured by Li Zhongjiu. Otherwise, she would have been dead by now. The three of them headed towards the Sky Suspending Mountain, the Du clan of the Sky Suspension Mountain. There was a relatively large formation set up outside the Du clan's territory. Once anyone approached it, it would immediately be alerted and discovered. After all, the Untainted Land was different from other places. Even an uninvited guest was likely to be a powerful threat. When the three of them arrived at the Du clan's territory, the Du clan's Grand Array naturally activated. Immediately, A few figures flew out from the forest below. All of them were supreme beings, but they were only first-grade supreme beings. To be able to be sent to guard the mountain gate, they all had a certain level of strength. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to live with their reputation. However, the 4 people in front of them combined might not even be enough to defeat one of Li Zongjio's trio. He could easily blast their heads into smithereens. They wouldn't be able to stop any one of them. So why did they have to jump out to stop them? Everyone please wait. This is the territory of the Du clan. Do you have an invitation letter? The person who rushed out was very polite. Although the combination of the 3 people in front of them was very strange, it was obvious that the 3 of them weren't people to be trifled with. Any one of them wasn't someone they could handle. That was how powerful they were. How could they not be careful and be polite? I'm here to look for Ling. Li Zongjio took out the guiding talisman that was given to him by that person. After all, this was Ling's home. Li Zongjio was polite and followed the rules. Otherwise, Li Zongjio would be sitting on the patriarch's throne. This is the guiding talisman from the 3rd elder. Please come in. The 2 of you should quickly inform the 3rd elder. Soon after, the leader smiled and led the way, bringing Li Zongjio and the other 2 in. Do Ling, Er's 3rd uncle, also quickly received the notice. At first, the 3rd elder was quite puzzled. How could his guiding talisman appear in someone else's hands? However, after thinking for a while, he remembered that half a year ago, he gave it to a young boy who was rumored to be Ling Er's friend. At that time, he gave it to Ling Er out of respect. He didn't expect that the boy would really come looking for him today. What's this boy's name again? Oh right, he's Li Zongjio. After thinking for a long time, he finally remembered Li Zongjio's name. He must be trying to pester Ling Er. Wait for me to send him away. This is too outrageous. Obviously, the 3rd elder of the Du clan, Du Tianhe, had a clear insight into Li Zongjio's intentions. This boy was obviously up to no good. Du Tianhe personally came to greet Li Zongjio. After all, Li Zongjio's potential was not bad. If there was a chance, it would be best to recruit him into the clan and serve the clan. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? Haha, so it's you, Li Zongjio. I was wondering why there was the light of the flying swan in the sky today. Welcome, welcome. Do Tianhe smiled as he walked in. When he walked in, Do Tianhe immediately had a strong feeling that there was an extremely powerful expert in this guest hall. The level of this expert was far beyond his level. Therefore, Du Tianhe immediately felt an extremely strong pressure. Du Tianhe's expression changed instantly. He quickly scanned the 3 people in front of him. A beautiful woman, an old woman who was estimated to be in her 80s or 90s, and Li Zongjio. What kind of combination was this? It was hard for anyone to guess. You are? Li Zongjio did not know the name of the person in front of him, but he recognized the person's face. I am Ling Er's 3rd uncle, Du Tianhe. You can call me Old He. Then, Du Tianhe looked at the disciples of the Du family, who were waiting at the side, and quickly scolded them. You fools, hurry up and pour the tea. Use the best spiritual tea. Du Tianhe scolded angrily. No need to trouble yourself. We don't drink outside tea. The 3rd elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace waved his hand and said. He knocked the crutch in his hand. Who has the final say in your family? The 3rd elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace said. Du Tianhe's expression stiffened when he heard this. He wanted to find the person who had the final say the moment he arrived. He was obviously here to negotiate. Could it be that he wanted to propose marriage? This brat acted really fast. He disappeared for half a year, just to create this expert. He even brought out the elders of the clan. He actually used such a method. Hehe. I am the 3rd elder of the Du family. If there's anything, you can tell me directly. Our family head is now in seclusion. It's not convenient for him to meet guests. Not convenient. The 3rd elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace's eyes suddenly became sharp. At this moment, a terrifying aura was released. Immediately, Do Tianhe felt suffocated. After all, the 3rd elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace was a dignified honorable realm expert. There was a huge gap between them. Du Tianhe was instantly suppressed. However, Li Zongjio snorted coldly. Stop, this is my friend's house. Show some respect. Chapter 1287. Dou Tianhe originally thought that these people were in cahoots, but Li Zongjio scolded the old lady, who seemed to have a stronger cultivation. This made Dou Tianhe quite surprised and very confused. Could it be that these people in front of him were not in cahoots? Looking at this situation, it seemed that Li Zongjio was more powerful, and these people had to bow their heads in front of Li Zongjio. Thinking of this, he had an indescribable feeling. Moreover, in the current situation, even if the other party tried peaceful means before resorting to force, they had already shown their strength. If he did not know what was good for him, and these people were really angry later, the consequences would be unimaginable. Dou Tianhe himself did not expect Li Zongjio to have such strength. The old lady could force him to retreat with a scolding, and make him feel a sense of despair, which made Dou Tianhe quite shocked. His cultivation was at the 8th grade sovereign level. Now it seemed that the old lady in front of him was most likely a 9th grade sovereign, or even a stronger existence. Oh my God! Could this old lady be in the venerable realm? If so, wouldn't she be directly comparable to the strength of the Dou family's patriarch? The Dou family was able to establish a clan in the core area of the untainted land because of the existence of a venerable, and brought the entire Dou family to the untainted land. Moreover, the protective barrier that was set up was more effective. Although it was said to be in the depths of the untainted land, it was much safer than the outside. As long as these family members did not go out to make trouble all day long, they were basically safe. There would not be any problems. Wait a moment. I'll go and ask the family head to come here. Dou Tianhe understood the seriousness of this matter. If he did not quickly ask the person who could speak in the family to come here, he reckoned that the old lady would be angry and directly tear down the family base, and then directly escape. Even if he wanted to find the old lady, there was nothing he could do. There was no trace to be found. After leaving, Dou Tianhe quickly came to the family head. The family head was Dou Tianhe's father, and also Ling Er's grandfather, Dou Su. It just so happened that he was in a good mood today, so Dou Su decided to try something he hadn't tried in a long time. He wanted to increase his strength, even though he hadn't made any progress in his cultivation for hundreds of years. However, Ling Er, this girl, spent all day researching and refining some pills. The last time he ate one, his old bones were almost broken. Therefore, Dou Su was also very bleak. He could do nothing about such a thing. After all, Ling Er had good intentions. Of course, he couldn't let Ling Er down. What's the matter? Why are you so flustered? Don't you know that I'm cultivating? Dou Su was a little unhappy. He had finally prepared himself to cultivate, but it was all ruined by this guy who made a big fuss. Father, someone wants to see you. Who's so amazing? I'm not seeing him. I'm cultivating. If anyone dares to disturb me, I'll crush them. Saying this, Dou Su's eyes flashed fiercely. This was a warning look. If someone really angered him later, he would definitely do as he said. No, father, this person is not simple, Dou Tianhe hurriedly said. If it was a normal person, naturally, they wouldn't dare to disturb Dou Su. Everyone in the Dou family knew that this person's cultivation was high, and his temper was quite fiery. If they really angered Dou Su, the result would often be very miserable. Therefore, ordinary people didn't dare to disturb Dou Su. In the entire Dou family, Dou Su was the king of hell with a bad temper. Who is it? Hearing Dou Tianhe's words, Dou Su suddenly became interested. After all, Dou Tianhe wasn't a child. If he said that this person wasn't an ordinary person, then there must be something special. Therefore, Dou Su was ready to listen. It's Ling Er's classmate from the Xingyan dynasty. Originally, Dou Tianhe wanted to introduce the powerful old woman. However, after thinking about it, it seemed that Li Zongjio's cultivation was stronger. Moreover, Li Zongjio seemed to be in a dominant position, so he introduced Li Zongjio first. However, Li Zongjio's cultivation didn't seem that powerful. Dou Tianhe was speechless for a while, and only said this sentence after a long time. Classmate. Oh, you're talking about that brat who wants to eat swan meat, right? He's got guts. He actually dared to come directly to my Dou clan, to come in front of me, old Dai. Then I'd like to see what kind of ability this brat has. He actually wants to touch my Ling Er. Dou Su immediately gloated. One had to know that Ling was the only girl in their family for a long time. Moreover, she had an extremely strong talent in alchemy. It was estimated that she could revive the Dou family's alchemy ability. If it could be restored, then the Dou family's strength would definitely skyrocket. Therefore, Dou Su was also very fond of Dou Ling. He even specially let Dou Ling go to the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor to learn. To be honest, there weren't many people in the Dou family who could refine pills. Therefore, Dou Ling could only learn all the knowledge by herself. Even the pills that were refined had to be tested continuously. If one's cultivation wasn't enough, then they might be directly poisoned to death by Dou Ling. Even so, old man Dou Su still doted on this girl very much. He even said that as long as she didn't die, she could refine as much as she wanted. Now, there was a stinking brat who wanted to take away their Ling. Dou Su wanted to see how capable this person was. Immediately, Dou Su waved his hand and led the experts of the Dou family directly to the reception hall. It's not like that. It's not like that. When Dou Tianhe saw Dou Su's actions, he knew that things were bad. He already knew that Dou Su had a bad temper. Now that he said this, he guessed that Dou Su wouldn't listen to anything. You useless coward, stand aside. When Dou Su saw Dou Tianhe's cowardice, he only took it as Dou Tianhe admitting defeat. When Dou Su stepped into the reception hall, he and the experts of the Dou family behind him all felt a strange feeling. There seemed to be an extremely terrifying aura in the room. Something was wrong. Dou Su's eyes suddenly flashed. Immediately, Dou Su looked in front of him. There was a man and two women. The man's aura was weak. He was trash. The other beautiful woman's aura was normal. She was only a 5th grade or 6th grade sovereign. She wouldn't be able to do much in the Dou family. However, there was only the old woman. Her strength was terrifying. Dou Su's aura couldn't even detect the old woman's condition. However, when Dou Su saw the crutch in the old woman's hand, he felt as if his mind was going crazy. This crutch. Hiss. Suddenly Dou Su felt his little heart beat violently. Are you experts of the Sparrow Divine Palace? Chapter 1288. Sparrow Divine Palace. How could the experts of the Dou clan not have heard of Sparrow Divine Palace? After all, the distance between the two clans wasn't very far. Therefore, it was normal for them to have heard of Sparrow Divine Palace. If the people of Sparrow God Palace hadn't taken the initiative to greet them, they wouldn't have dared to rashly disturb such a mysterious and powerful existence like Sparrow God Palace. Otherwise, the only outcome they would face would be death. Even Dou Su didn't expect that the people of Sparrow Divine Palace would come to their doorstep. It was quite unexpected. He was really shocked and couldn't believe it. However, the 100-bird scepter was very famous, because when the Dou clan was just established, one of their ancestors wanted to visit the Sparrow Divine Palace before he broke through to the Venerable Realm. He wanted to establish a friendly relationship with the people of Sparrow Divine Palace. At that time, he didn't even see the shadow of the person, and was directly hit by the scepter. Therefore, he described the appearance of the scepter in detail to his descendants, so that they would pay attention to it, and never offend the owner of the scepter. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. After that, no one from the Dou clan dared to approach the Sparrow Divine Palace, and didn't want to establish a relationship with them. Now, the legendary person had actually appeared in their Dou clan. At this moment, Dou Su couldn't wait to grab Dou Tianhe and give him a good kick. It seemed like this little guy had already forgotten his daily teachings. Therefore, he acted like this. He didn't even know to report the arrival of the master of Sparrow Divine Palace. He deserved to die. The experts of the Dou clan behind him also knelt down one by one and performed the etiquette of Jianghu. At this time, the third elder of Sparrow Divine Palace was somewhat arrogant. He seemed to be telling Li Zongjiu that he had seen who was the real authoritative person. Bing Ke was quite surprised. How did these people know? Moreover, they seemed to be in awe of the Sparrow Divine Palace. It seemed like the Sparrow Divine Palace's strength and influence were already known to the outside world. After all, Ice Sparrow had never left the Sparrow Divine Palace, so she didn't know anything about the outside world. She only knew how to focus on cultivation. She was a very isolated person. She didn't know what the three old men of the Sparrow Divine Palace were thinking. They actually used such a method to make people cultivate. If they didn't have any experience, how could they become a top expert? Therefore, this little girl was basically crippled. Of course, it was not too late to experience it now. Are you the one in charge here? The third elder asked faintly. Under such circumstances, he naturally raised his aura to a very high level. Just by looking at him, one would have the feeling that he was the reincarnation of a top expert. Naturally, no one dared to offend him. Yes, I'm Du Su. I'm the current head of the Du family. Elder, if you have any orders, you can tell me directly. Du Su originally thought that Li Zongjie was a stinky brat who wanted to eat swan meat. However, he was pleasantly surprised when he saw that Li Zongjie actually had a background in the Sparrow Divine Palace. It was simply a great bargain. Of course, it wasn't a great bargain. At the very least, they had to be well matched in terms of social status. If the two of them found each other pleasing to the eye, in addition to the fact that both of them were very outstanding, Li Zongjie's background was so resounding that there was naturally nothing difficult for him to do. Therefore, he was quite happy in his heart. He immediately snickered in his heart. Get up first. I want you to do something for me. The third elder raised his hand slightly, causing everyone, including Du Su, to stand up. Moreover, none of them were able to resist this power. It was so domineering. Even if they wanted to refuse, they didn't have any way or strength to do so. Everyone was shocked because if he could do this, it would be a piece of cake for him to kill all of them. It was simply too terrifying. He was indeed an elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace. Elder, as long as it's within my ability, I'll do it. Du Su was a little excited. After all, establishing a relationship with the Sparrow Divine Palace was something that all of his ancestors wanted to do. He didn't expect that there would be hope of success this time. Immediately, Du Su was extremely excited. This opportunity was quite rare. However, Du Su's heart was already filled with joy. Since he had already placed his family here, he naturally had to ensure the safety of his family. How could he possibly send his family members to their deaths? Du Su naturally knew what the elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace wanted to say. Wasn't it about the marriage proposal? Well said, well said. I want you to help me find the whereabouts of the heavenly monster tribe. Tell them that the Sparrow Divine Palace is looking for them. When the third elder mentioned the name of the heavenly demon tribe, his eyes were blazing with anger. He couldn't wait to kill every single one of the heavenly demon tribe. However, he still had to endure for a while. He had to wait for these people to come to him first, before he could kill them all. These despicable people dared to destroy the Sparrow Divine Palace. When he thought of this, he was incomparably furious. He unconsciously released a wisp of murderous intent. Instantly, everyone present clearly felt a strong sense of danger. Du Su and the others naturally felt the anger in the elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace. Since that was the case, there was nothing to say. It must be an enemy, so it wasn't a marriage proposal. This caused Du Su to feel a little worried. Why wasn't it a marriage proposal? However, it was good that it wasn't a marriage proposal. This way Ling wouldn't be married off. Only in his own family could he protect Ling from being bullied. Elder, don't worry. I'll do it right away. Since the Dou family had been established in the untainted land for so many years, they naturally had their own methods of using energy. They also had their own skills in finding people. Therefore, it wasn't a difficult task. It was easy to spread the news. However, it would be difficult to find the heavenly monster tribe. Therefore, they could only wait for the heavenly monster tribe to come to them. Very good. The third elder nodded with satisfaction. What's next? The third elder asked. This made Du Su a little confused. What next? Just as he was about to clarify, he raised his head and saw that the third elder wasn't asking him, but the young man. Moreover, the third elder seemed to be asking for advice. This made Du Su even more surprised. Could it be that Li Zongjie's status was higher than the elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace? Even the elder had to lower himself to ask Li Zongjie. Just wait. I've already deployed my mental strength. As long as these sneaky things are within 10,000 miles, I'll be able to find them. Li Zongjie said indifferently. 10,000 miles. If an ordinary person had said this, Du Su would have thought that the person was bragging. Then, he would have slapped the person and sent his head flying. But today, Li Zongjio said such words in front of an elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace. If he wasn't bluffing, then he really had such strength. Therefore, Du Su could only squint his eyes and smile apologetically. In any case, Li Zongjio was so strong that he could say whatever he wanted. Li Zongjio, why are you here? Come and take a look at the elixir I just refined. Do Ling had just received the news and hurried over. Grandpa, you're here. That's great. Come and try the elixir I just refined. Do Ling jumped out excitedly with the pill in her hand. It was obvious that it was poison. Chapter 1289. Ahem, Linger, don't make a fuss. Let's talk about this later. Grandpa still has important things to do now. Do Su hurriedly said. He was afraid that Do Ling-er's appearance would offend these people. After all, these people were not people he could afford to offend. If something went wrong, perhaps the entire Do family would cease to exist. Although these people did not look so fierce, and seemed to be a little easy to get along with. If they were really angry, or showed the slightest dissatisfaction, the consequences would be quite serious. What kind of pill did you refine? When Li Zongjio saw the pill in Do Ling-er's hand, he was slightly taken aback. He didn't know where Do Ling-er had messed around with the pill, but she had completely concocted it according to her own imagination. Do Su was lucky that he was not poisoned to death by Do Ling-er's pill. Otherwise, he did not know what would have happened to him. I refined it. I call it the blood-breaking pill. Do Ling-er said. When Do Su heard the name, his face suddenly changed and became extremely ugly. He did not know how he survived after taking those pills from Do Ling-er. Blood-breaking pill? When Li Zongjio heard the name of the pill, he was suddenly shocked. He did not expect the blood-breaking pill to appear so quickly. You really are a little demoness, Li Zongjio said in surprise. The pill formula of the blood-breaking pill was something that appeared at least 1,000 years later. Moreover, there were very few people who could refine it. Even if they had the pill formula, it was impossible to refine it. When this pill formula was first circulated, the effect of the blood-breaking pill was still shocking. At that time, there were only 3 blood-breaking pills, which caused the entire cultivation world to fight over it. Naturally, it was quite powerful. No one expected that this pill could have such a great effect. Sometimes some pills could not be divided into grades, but it did not prevent these pills from having very powerful effects. The blood-breaking pill in her hand, after taking it, could instantly fill the body's blood with power, forming a violent fighting state. It directly increased one's strength by 3 times. It was an indiscriminate increase of 3 times. Of course, the duration of this threefold effect depended on one's strength. Some people could maintain it for a long time. But for someone like Li Zongjio, if he were to take the blood-breaking pill, he would only be able to maintain it for half a second. However, half a second was enough to reverse the situation. To be able to refine such a heaven-defying pill, it was enough to show how powerful this person was. This pill can't be eaten carelessly. What materials do you need? Help me concoct 8 or 10 pills. The effects of this thing are pretty perverted. Li Zongjio said. How would you know if you haven't eaten it? Grandpa, try it. Do Ling hurriedly urged, as if she couldn't wait to see the effects of her pill. However, after hearing Li Zongjio's words, she didn't dare to eat it carelessly. Let's talk about it later, Do Su said repeatedly, then took the opportunity to pull Do Ling aside. Do Ling was held down by Do Tianhe. Otherwise, Do Ling would be entangled with Do Su. Hee. The 3 of you must be tired from the long journey. First, I will arrange a quiet room for the 3 of you. In addition, I will immediately prepare a banquet to welcome the 3 of you. Do Su said. No need. Cultivators like us don't like this. Just take us to a quiet place. Don't disturb us if there's nothing important. The 3rd elder of Sparrow Divine Palace was rather aloof. However, his words were in line with their impression of the people of Sparrow Divine Palace. These people were supposed to have such an incomparably aloof attitude. On the contrary, Do Su still couldn't figure out the relationship between Li Zongjio and these people. However, the 2 sides should belong to different paths. They should be united for some purpose. Moreover, Li Zhongjiu belonged to the stronger side. However, Li Zhongjiu asked for Dou Ling's pill formula. At the same time, he used the alchemy room of the Dou family to refine the pill formula of the blood-breaking pill to improve its effect. Although the effect of the blood-breaking pill was very obvious, the side effects of the blood-breaking pill were also very obvious. If Li Zhongjiu took this pill, his strength would soar, and he would lose all his strength in the remaining half a month. Therefore, the side effects were also very big. Li Zhongjiu wanted to change the formula of the blood-breaking pill in his previous life, but later on, the pill formula had been modified countless times. It was impossible to find the original version of the pill formula. Now, he didn't expect to meet the founder of this pill formula in such a situation. The founder was right in front of him, so Li Zhongjiu was very surprised. In Li Zhongjiu's previous life, he had deciphered many Dan recipes, even some ancient Dan recipes. As long as he took the Dan recipe and studied it a little, he would be able to analyze its composition and specific effects. It could be said that he was quite powerful. However, Li Zhongjiu had no way to understand the formula of the blood-breaking pill. Therefore, it could be said that the person who created this blood-breaking pill was even more talented in alchemy than he was. Li Zhongjiu couldn't deny this point. Now Li Zhongjiu finally encountered such a situation with great difficulty. He unexpectedly found the creator of the blood-breaking pill. And it was Dou Ling. How could he reason with this kind of thing? Therefore, Li Zhongjiu was very eager to study this pill at this moment. Even if he faced the heavenly monster tribe, it would be a sharp weapon. Actually, there is a very precious medicinal primer added to this blood-breaking pill. After looking at all the medicinal ingredients, Li Zhongjiu felt that something was wrong because this pill formula was almost the same as the one he had obtained before. He had even tried this method countless times. It was impossible to achieve this effect. What is it? Li Zhongjiu frowned. He saw Dou Ling mysteriously take out a silver needle and gently pierce a small hole on her finger. Then, she forced a drop of blood out and dropped it into the pill furnace. Suddenly, everything in the pill furnace underwent a huge change. It could be seen that the whole pill furnace was crazily condensing at this moment. Li Zhongjiu had never seen blood with such an effect. Therefore, when he saw it, his eyes widened. No wonder he couldn't figure out the specifics of the pill formula in his previous life. He always felt that there was a missing medicinal primer. Now he finally knew that it was Dou Ling's blood. Your bloodline? Li Zhongjiu had never seen Dou Ling's bloodline, but he could feel that it contained a powerful force. As for what kind of force it was, Li Zhongjiu couldn't tell. It was a kind of high-level physique that he had never seen before. No wonder after Dou Ling the effect of the blood-breaking pill couldn't be restored. It was because there was a missing medicinal primer in Dou Ling's blood to activate it. It was precisely because of this that these pills couldn't achieve the true effect of the blood-breaking pill. She was really a mysterious person. You are really a madman. But don't do this in the future. It will consume your origin power. Chapter 1290. Li Zhongjiu exhorted. Such behavior was extremely dangerous, because once one went crazy, it was very likely that one would use one's own blood to do all kinds of strange experiments. Once one went crazy, one could really do anything. It would not be strange if one jumped directly into the alchemy furnace. It's okay. I only need one drop to increase the efficacy of the pill by dozens of times. I only discovered this recently. Dou Ling said seriously. I said no, it's no. Li Zhongjiu directly reached out his hand and knocked Dou Ling's head hard. Dou Ling's face immediately became aggrieved. Fine, I won't. Soon after, this batch of elixirs was successfully refined as well. Just like before, there were 3 elixirs produced. Give this one to me. Give the rest to your family. It can save lives at critical times. Li Zhongjiu said. This pill contained Dou Ling's blood essence, so it must be very precious. Therefore, Li Zhongjiu did not ask for much. Okay. Don't refine this kind of pill in the future. It's addictive. Li Zhongjiu said in a serious tone. His expression left a deep impression in people's minds. Therefore, Dou Ling nodded her head, indicating that she wouldn't do it again. Li Zhongjiu also directly destroyed the pill formula. Although the effect of this pill was strong, it wasn't a good thing for Dou Ling, or no matter how one looked at it. The one in his hand was enough. Then, Li Zhongjiu followed Dou Ling to visit the Howling Moon Wolf King. It could be said that this guy ate and slept well in the Sky Suspension Mountain. It did not need to worry about being attacked at all, because once someone attacked, it would not be able to stop them. Either way it would die. That was why it was so relaxed. Moreover, in such an environment, everything it ate and drank was rich in yuan qi. Therefore, the Howling Moon Wolf King grew into a Howling Moon Wolf King. Under such rich cultivation conditions, it broke through its original limit and became a Howling Moon Wolf King. When it first saw Li Zhongjiu, the Howling Moon Wolf King was stunned. Obviously, it did not expect to see Li Zhongjiu here. No matter where it went, it felt as if it was caught by Li Zhongjiu. Could it be that Li Zhongjiu was here to bring it back? The Howling Moon Wolf King's heart was filled with melancholy when he thought about how his peaceful days were about to end. Seems like you don't want to go back. When Li Zhongjiu saw the Howling Moon Wolf King's attitude, how could he not know what this fellow was thinking? After all, it was a meta beast that specialized in mental strength. Hence, its intelligence was more prominent and more obvious. It's not bad for you to stay here. At least it's a good place to return to, Li Zhongjiu said. The Howling Moon Wolf King was only used in the early stages. Now Li Zhongjiu could kill many Howling Moon Wolf Kings with a single slap. Hence, there was no need to bring the Howling Moon Wolf King back. What could it do with it? Its level was not high enough. It could not keep up with Li Zhongjiu's pace. When the Howling Moon Wolf King heard that it could continue living here, it was elated. At the same time, Li Zhongjiu removed the Howling Moon Wolf King's mental restraint. Controlling a meta beast like this was useless to Li Zhongjiu. It was better to release it early, so that he could save some mental strength. The Howling Moon Wolf King regained its freedom. However, this did not seem to be special to the Howling Moon Wolf King. After all, it was like this every day. It was in a very free state, and did not feel any restraint. Hence, it did not make any difference to it whether the mental restraint was removed or not. After that, Li Zhongjiu found a quiet place to stay. Of course, Li Zhongjiu was not idle either. He was refining the chaotic yuan bell as fast as he could. There were still 2 strands of primal chaos qi in the chaos bell that had yet to be refined. If Li Zhongjiu could completely refine these 2 strands of primal chaos qi, he would have complete control over the chaos bell. In such a situation, it seemed that the primordial bell could also play a very powerful combat role. Facing the mysterious and terrifying heavenly demon tribe, Li Zhongjiu was not arrogant, nor did he look down on them. After all, Li Zhongjiu knew how strong these people were. If they could ignore the defensive array formation of the Sparrow Divine Palace, there had to be a God-grade array master among them. Otherwise, the defensive array formation would not have been destroyed so thoroughly, and the primordial chaos qi, within the primordial chaos bell, must be a sharp weapon to break the array formation. In order to deal with these people, one must display a sufficiently powerful method. Otherwise, even if one found them, it would just be a free death. Before the arrival of a great enemy, he wanted to improve his strength properly. The 3rd elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace had the same idea. However, unlike the other 2, he naturally had to explain the situation properly, since he had already encountered a disaster. If anything happens to me, you will be the only successor of the Sparrow Divine Palace. You must continue the bloodline of the Sparrow Divine Palace. The 3rd elder called the Ice Sparrow in front of him. Enduring humiliation is nothing, but you must endure it. We can afford to wait. The great Tao of the world is a cycle of cause and effect. You must continue to wait until a real opportunity arrives. Seize this opportunity and restore the prestige of the Sparrow Divine Palace. The 3rd elder sighed. This battle with the heavenly demon tribe would not bode well for them. Although he knew that he was no match for them, he had to give it his all. If he did not give it his all, he would definitely regret it. Therefore, the 3rd elder had to give a clear account of the Sparrow God Palace's affairs. Elder, can't Li Zhongjiu reverse the situation? The Ice Sparrow did not know many people, But she had witnessed the miracles that had happened to Li Zongjiu. He had even withstood the chaotic qi. This kind of strength was unimaginable to ordinary people. Even if it were the three elders, they might not be able to do it to such an extent. In fact, they did not even dare to touch the primal chaos qi. However, Li Zongjiu dared to dive into it and train for such a long time. Such a feat was already an extremely great miracle. I am not sure about this person's background. No matter what, we have to be careful of him. This person will do anything to achieve his goal. Don't think that he is a kind person. I can see countless killings in him. Ice Sparrow listened in a daze and nodded blankly. However, the Ice Sparrow also kept a lookout for Li Zongjiu, because she had observed that he was a good person. Chapter 1291. Eldritch Demon Zone. Unfalling Mountain. The top 10 Forbidden Lands were ranked first. No one knew where the top 10 Forbidden Lands came from, but it was passed down from one person to another. In the end, it became like this, passed down by word of mouth. Everyone knew about the terrifying existences in the Forbidden Lands. The devouring moon forest that Li Zongjiu had passed through was ranked at the bottom of the Forbidden Lands. However, the Buluo Mountain was always ranked first no matter where it was, or what kind of situation it was. That was how terrifying Unfalling Mountain was. However, no one knew exactly how terrifying it was. Over the years, the people who had tried to find out the reason why Buluo Mountain was so terrifying had all lost their lives. After that, no one was curious anymore. After all, those who were curious had all died. The rest of them had not even explored the rest of the Forbidden Lands, so they did not dare to come to Unfalling Mountain. The mountains in the No Luo mountain range were all suspended in midair. They looked like floating balloons. Anyone who saw them would exclaim in surprise. How could it be so magical? At the highest peak, there was a loud boom. The flying bird platform fell to the ground. At the same time, there was an extremely thick chain on the flying bird Dao platform. One end of the chain was connected to the flying bird Dao platform, while the other end was tied to a figure. There were two people trapped by the chain. In fact, Li Zongjiu recognized these two figures. In front of them was a man in a black robe. He was using a dagger to gently carve a wooden sculpture in his hand. In the end, the wooden sculpture was in a strange state. It had the body of a bird and the tail of a dragon. Its posture was strange, but it was imposing. The first elder of Sparrow God Palace opened his eyes and looked at his body. He then looked at the flying bird Dao platform behind him and stared at the situation in front of him. When he saw the thin figure standing in front of him, he was slightly surprised. However, the first elder was not flustered. Heavenly Demon Tribe, your actions will only bring about your own destruction. In the past, your ancestors wanted to gather the power of the three supreme treasures, but they failed in the end. Have you all forgotten? The great elder sneered. But this didn't affect the black-robed figure in front of him. He was gently carving the wooden sculpture in his hand in order to make it more lifelike, as if it was a living individual. It was as if it wanted to break free from the wooden sculpture to achieve this effect. After that, the black-robed man used his finger to lightly tap on the wood carving. Soon after, the wood shavings on the wood carving began to peel off. After that, it flapped its wings and moved. It left the base of the wooden sculpture and flew into the sky. I'm different from them. I'm stronger. The mysterious person said slowly, "Where is your third brother hiding?" Haha, the flying bird platform has already been activated. If any one of us dies, no external force will be able to open it. Once it is reactivated, the new Sparrow Empress will appear. With your strength, there is no way you can stop her. The Sparrow Divine Palace Elder said slowly. He was quite confident in the flying bird platform. As long as Qi Yinran appeared, she would definitely be able to reach the peak of this power and return to the peak of the Sparrow Empress realm. She won't have that moment, the figure said slowly. When he lifted his chin, a pair of deep eyes could be seen. The things that could be seen through those eyes were incredibly far away, and those who looked at them would feel as if they would be immersed in them. However, when the first elder saw the Heavenly Demon Tribe member's eyes, he was slightly shocked. He had a feeling that he had seen such eyes somewhere else before. His heart immediately calmed down. He must have seen such eyes somewhere before. Even if you don't tell me, I will find them. The black-robed man said slowly. He lowered his head, and those deep eyes were no longer there. They were difficult to see. Suddenly, a black vortex appeared in the sky. Then, a figure landed in front of the black-robed man. My lord, we have received news that the third elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace is looking for us. This news came from the Dou family of the Sky Suspension Mountain. How is that possible? We have no contact with the Dou family. Trying to get information from us? It's useless. The first elder said slowly. There was a trace of disdain in his eyes, but he was panicking inside. Logically speaking, if one was trapped in the chaotic Yuan Bell, it was basically impossible to get out. Even with Li Zongjiu's strength, it would take at least a few hundred years. In a few hundred years, there would be a lot of changes, and it was inevitable that other things would happen. It was better than being caught now. There was still hope. We will know soon. The 5 of you go and catch them for me. The black-robed man waved his hand towards the sky. 5 figures suddenly flew out from the sleeves of the robe. From the looks of it, they were all wooden sculptures before, but after the black-robed man pointed at them with his finger, they immediately obtained the god's life chi. It was an eye-opener to see such a miraculous effect. These dragon sparrow statues instantly transformed into people with different appearances. They leaped up and brought the person who had just delivered the message into the distance. Boom! The 5 figures disappeared in the sky. The first elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace closed his eyes. He could not do anything after being chained by the chains behind him. He could only sit quietly and meditate to adjust his state of mind. 5 people back then. When these people had arrived, it was the black-robed man in front of them, who had destroyed their formation with a single palm strike. Even when the 2 of them had joined forces, they were still no match for the 4 dragon sparrows of the enemy. The strongest person had not even made a move. Therefore, when he saw the 5 of them taking action, the first elder could only pray. The first elder could only pray that the messenger was not the third elder. However, no matter what, the Dou family would not be able to escape today's calamity. Sky Suspension Mountain. Li Zongjiu and the other 2 waited here for 3 days. 3 days was enough for the news to spread across the Elysium. Soon the other party would come knocking. In order to ensure the safety of the Dou family, Li Zongjiu asked the Dou family to be prepared. When Du Su found out about the heavenly monster tribe, he regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Chapter 1292. Previously, Du Su did not know much about the Heavenly Demon Tribe, or the Heavenly Sparrow Tribe. Since it was a task assigned by the Sparrow Divine Palace, it should be within the scope of the Sparrow Divine Palace's control. Who would have thought that after checking the clan's ancient records, he would directly collapse? Even Du Su could feel a chill running down his spine. He had never expected such a ferocious group of origin beasts to exist. In the eyes of the human race, all heavenly demons were extremely ferocious. However, in the eyes of the Heavenly Demon Tribe, the Heavenly Demon Tribe was a truly ferocious tribe. They did not even want to talk about them. However, as time passed, the Heavenly Demon Tribe gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. Because they were too ferocious and cruel, it caused them to suffer the wrath of the heavens. Most of the experts in the clan suddenly died, and in the end, there were only a few bloodline seeds left. They couldn't find too many opportunities to revive. Recovering to their peak state in the past was very normal. The Heavenly Demon Tribe was too powerful. The Heavenly Demon Tribe had disappeared for nearly 10,000 years. Who would have thought that they would reappear today? Even the Dou family had forgotten about them. They had forgotten about them. Now that they had reappeared, they finally recalled how powerful the Heavenly Demon Tribe was. Anyone who provoked the Heavenly Demon Tribe would never have the chance to regret it. Among the Heavenly Demon Tribe, the Heavenly Demon Tribe's martial strength was at the peak. It could even be said that they had no natural enemies. This time, the Dou family had helped the Sparrow Divine Palace and Li Zongjiu to spread the news about the search for the Heavenly Demon Tribe. This would definitely incur the displeasure of the Heavenly Demon Tribe. Once they appeared, they would definitely be implicated. However, it was too late now. The news had already been out for 3 days. Even if they wanted to retract it, they wouldn't be able to do so. If they were to give up now, wouldn't they be offending the Sparrow Divine Palace as well? At that time, both sides wouldn't be able to gain any benefits. The outcome would definitely be quite miserable. Du Su understood this logic. Du Su could only instruct his subordinates to prepare well. Perhaps a great calamity was about to befall them. Of course, this level of preparation was only limited to the Du family's combat personnel. They had to speed up their training and monitor the surrounding situation more closely. Otherwise, an irreversible problem might occur. As for the ordinary family members of the Du family, they continued to live their lives peacefully. However, today Du Su was frowning. However, he suddenly received a piece of information and sent it over. After reading the report, Du Su was furious. It turned out that when the people of the Du clan were out training, they had a conflict with another ancient clan, the Tan clan, which was also their nemesis for many years. Not only were the items of the people on his side stolen, but they were also seriously injured. The other party had an elder leading the team, and it was said that he was a 9th-stage primitive emperor expert. Fortunately, his life was saved. But after hearing such news, who could sit still? The Tan family was clearly here to provoke them. There were certain territories in the untainted land. You worked in your territory, and I worked in mine. No one would cross the line. However, it was clear that these people from the Tan family were clearly here to stir up trouble. Father, let me lead a team to destroy the prestige of the Tan family. Even if I have to turn the untainted land upside down, I will capture them and bring them here. Du Tianhe said coldly. Yes, I will go too. I must capture these bastards and chop them into pieces. Fourth uncle Du Tianfeng said. The two of them were also quite angry. They had actually bullied them. Although there had been some situations between them over the years, they had always kept their bottom line. At most, they would scold each other in the heat of the moment. However, it was rare for them to fight. It had not reached such a level yet. After all, the untainted land was so vast. It was not easy to encounter each other. But now such a situation had happened. Obviously, the other party was targeting the Du clan. Let these bastards be arrogant for thousands of years. Today, we have to settle this matter properly. Second brother Du Tianlei said indifferently. However, the three of them were all rubbing their fists. They couldn't wait to go out and capture those thugs from the Tan family. However, the head of the Du clan, Du Su, remained silent and did not speak. Obviously, the mad dragon of the Du clan was also trying his best to calm down and brew his emotions. Let's hold back for now, Du Su said in a deep voice. Father, how can we tolerate this? The three of them were unusually agitated. After such a thing had happened, how could they let them go back alive? The three of them were not afraid of such a thing. I said let's not take action first. After this matter is over, I will personally go out and destroy the Tan family. Hold back for another month. Du Su estimated that the matter of the Sparrow God Palace would be settled in a month's time. After a month, no matter what the situation was, they would come back to settle this score with the Tan family. Although the anger in everyone's heart could not be quenched. But since the head of the Du clan had said that he would personally take action after a month, the rest of them did not dare to have any objections. Naturally, they had to stabilize this matter first. He could only suppress his anger for the time being. As for what was about to happen, they were all a little unclear. Just as everyone gathered together to discuss this matter, dark clouds suddenly rolled in the sky. One could clearly see dark clouds moving in the sky like wild beasts. It seemed like the end of the world. Accompanying it was an extremely terrifying aura. Boom! Within the dark clouds, there were a few figures that were swaying rapidly, faintly discernible. At this moment Li Zhongjio, who was on a mountain peak, sneered. They're finally here. The third elder of the Sparrow God Palace and Bing Ke quickly came to Li Zhongjio's side. Experts like them would naturally be able to sense the sudden commotion that had occurred. Boom! Within the dark clouds, a few figures flashed down like black lightning. Without saying a word, they charged towards the third elder. The heavenly demon tribe was naturally familiar with the aura of the Sky Sparrow tribe. There was no need for them to ask any questions. It's good that you're here. I was afraid that you wouldn't come. Li Zongjie was not included in the attack range of these people. After all, their goal was to take the third elder of the Sparrow God Palace away. Of course, it would be a different matter if someone intervened. Today, Li Zongjie was here specifically to intervene. Chapter 1293. 2 streaks of black light were the first to descend. They were surrounded by terrifying black lightning. One of them charged towards the third elder of Sparrow God Palace, while the other attempted to kill the ice sparrow. When the 2 streaks of black light appeared, the Doe family members also felt a strong aura. Where did these people come from? Heavenly Monster Tribe. Is this the aura of the Heavenly Monster Tribe? Do Su squinted his eyes. Although he had not reached the honorable realm, he was not far from it. He could clearly feel that these people were gradually surpassing the honorable realm. Boom! Li Zongjie waved his hand. The chaotic origin bell. The primordial bell spread out a magnificent light. As the light appeared, the 2 rapidly falling figures were directly wrapped up. Clang! The 2 figures slammed into the primordial bell, causing a loud bang to erupt. But then, the 2 figures revealed their original forms. They had the body of a dragon sparrow. Heavenly Monster Tribe. The third elder of the Divine Sparrow Palace took a deep breath after seeing the 2 dragon sparrows. After so many years, he finally saw this legendary race. The Heavenly Monster Tribe was the natural enemy of the Dragon Tribe and the Heavenly Sparrow Tribe. Only when the 2 tribes joined forces could they defeat the Heavenly Monster Tribe. But the Heavenly Monster Tribe and the Heavenly Sparrow Tribe were gradually coming to an end. Only the Dragon Tribe was still as glorious as ever. Although they were still far from their most glorious days, they were definitely in a powerful state compared to the other races on the continent. The Heavenly Monster Tribe had descended again. They wanted to borrow the strength of the Heavenly Sparrow Tribe to strengthen themselves before conquering Dragon Island. If they lost the power of the Green Bird platform, they would not be able to fight against the Dragon Tribe. But who knew that they would encounter Li Zongjie right from the start? Li Zongjie did not care whether they were demons or not. As long as they did not touch Li Zongjie's people, he did not care what they did. But now it was too late. The 2 dragon sparrows were trapped inside the primordial bell. The primordial bell also revealed its huge body. Its original state was also transparent, and the 2 dragon sparrows trapped inside could be seen. No matter how hard the 2 dragon sparrows struggled, they were unable to break through the primordial bell in front of them. Clang! Suddenly, 3 beams of black light landed on the primordial bell and hammered it to the ground, making an extremely loud sound. Li Zongjie did not say a word. He directly took out the unparalleled sword and attacked the 3 shadows entrenched on the primordial bell. Boom! Li Zongjie's figure surged with a terrifying aura. It shrouded the 3 shadows in front of him. Leave one to me, the third elder of the Divine Sparrow Palace said. The third elder was not an incompetent person. Now that the enemy had appeared, she naturally had to kill them. After all, she was an expert in the honorable realm. Li Zongjie naturally did not care. As long as he captured these people and tortured them to find out where Qi Yanran was, it would be enough. That was the purpose of this trip. Now that he had captured 2 of them, the remaining 3 could be killed directly. However, Li Zongjie felt that these people's actions were a little strange. Their aura was more like lifeless puppets. What exactly were they? Let's kill them first. The 100 birds scepter in the hands of the third elder also transformed into tens of thousands of birds, directly choosing one of them and trapping him. As for the other 2, they were handed over to Li Zongjie. The sword qi in the unparalleled sword settled. A wave of surging qi instantly surged over. Boom! The sword qi in Li Zongjie's hand rolled. Immediately, the 2 in front of him were forced to fly towards him at the same time. Boom! Li Zongjie's sword qi was shattered. One of the figures quickly flew towards Li Zongjie at an extremely fast speed. Li Zongjie performed the hidden dragon art under his feet. He directly flew to the side and directly slapped down with his palm. Buddha's palm. Boom! The palm hit nothing. It directly slapped the mountain where Li Zongjie and the others were waiting for into a pile of debris. A huge cloud of dust flew up. It directly engulfed the figures in the sky. Suddenly, the entire battlefield became even more chaotic. Du Su and the others could only barely feel the tremors that were stirred up by the dust that filled the air were so shocking. If Li Zongjio's palm had hit them, even with the mountain guarding array, they would have been smashed into pieces in an instant. Damn, this kid is so fierce. Du Tianhe and the others were instantly shocked. Previously, this kid did not show off his strength. Who knew that he would be so fierce when he attacked? Just the casual palm just now had directly exceeded the limit of Du Tianhe and the other's strength. Therefore, Li Zongjio's strength was far above Du Tianhe and the others. It was even obvious that Li Zongjio's strength was even stronger than the third elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace. This was because the third elder of the Sparrow Divine Palace only dealt with one Sparrow Divine Palace. Li Zongjio directly went to deal with two Sparrows Divine Palace. At the beginning, Li Zongjio directly trapped two Sparrows Divine Palace with a divine artifact. It was equivalent to killing four Sparrows Divine Palace in an instant. His strength was amazing and impressive. Amidst the flying dust, Li Zongjio released terrifying sword chi one after another. The speed of the two dragon sparrows was also extremely fast. Even as they moved, cracks appeared in the space. Boom! Boom! The two dragon sparrows attacked Li Zongjio from the left and right. The space around Li Zongjio gradually began to collapse. This put Li Zongjio directly in danger. Li Zongjio immediately pushed out the unparalleled sword in his hand. A fiery red aura wrapped around the unparalleled sword and attacked one of the dragon sparrows. The sword was covered with blazing sword chi. One of the heavenly demon tribesmen flew into the distance, and its tail was cut off. The heavenly demon tribesman with a broken tail roared and pounced on the unparalleled sword. A flaming figure appeared. His gaze was piercingly cold. His aura was unparalleled. It was King of Fire. Die! King of Fire did not expect that Li Zongjio would be in trouble as soon as he appeared. Immediately, King of Fire took the initiative to grab the unparalleled sword in his hand and attacked the heavenly demon tribesman with a broken tail. However, the remaining one suddenly grabbed Li Zongjio's shoulder. Its tail was like a sharp sword and aimed at Li Zongjio's neck. Boom! Li Zongjio sneered in the face of this tail that was rushing towards him. He grabbed the other party's tail with his hand. He pulled it hard. He forcefully tore off the other party's tail. The body that had been tempered by the power of chaos was so strong. Chapter 1294. In fact, Li Zongjio's strength had already reached an incredible level. Even though it wasn't obvious in terms of strength, one could clearly feel how terrifying his strength was when he really fought. Therefore, Li Zongjio easily tore the heavenly monster tribe in half when he unleashed his strength. There was no resistance at all. However, the remaining heavenly monster tribe members were also quite tough. They didn't lose their fighting strength after their tail was broken. Instead, they kept attacking Li Zongjio's head. Obviously, the heavenly monster tribe had accurately grasped the weakness of the human race. It could even be said that the human race was full of weaknesses. However, if the head was directly smashed, it would be impossible for the human race to recover. The human race could only die in paradise. However, Li Zongjio had the chaotic body. He easily blocked the attacks of the heavenly monster tribe. There was no resistance at all. Bang! 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 Sounds of vibrations reverberated in the space. The torn space quickly recovered. Li Zongjio was also very careful. However, in comparison, the spatial power in front of him didn't seem so dangerous. If it was in the past, Li Zongjio would be very careful because once he was sucked into this space, it would be difficult for him to find himself again. It wouldn't take long for his yuan qi to be depleted, and he could only wait for death. After all, Li Zongjio had personally experimented before. He would shatter a piece of space, tie the enemy to a rope, and throw them into the space. About 2 minutes later, when the enemy was pulled back, they were basically dead. There was even one time when he directly threw a person into the spatial crack and directly marked the person's body. After the spatial crack healed, the person was nowhere to be found. No one knew where he had gone. In any case, he had never been seen on the continent. However, Li Zongjio's body had been refined in the chaotic force after much difficulty, directly tempering his body into the chaotic body. Therefore, he was no longer as fearful as he was in the past when he was in the spatial crack. Now he already had a mental state that was sufficient to protect himself in this space. Therefore, Li Zongjie was pleasantly surprised by his own realization. However, unless he had no other choice, he didn't dare to try and barge into the shattered space alone. Li Zongjie tore a huge hole in the space behind him, grabbed the heavenly demon race member, and threw him into the crack. The heavenly monster tribesman seemed to be terrified at this moment. He kept struggling, wanting to rush back. However, it was too late. The space crack was cut, and the heavenly monster tribesman disappeared instantly. Opening a crack in space was clearly no simple matter. It would have been difficult for Li Zongjie to accomplish this with his original strength, but he could do it easily with his chaotic body. What? This guy can actually tear space as he pleases? Even the third elder of the Sparrow God Palace, who was a venerable, was extremely shocked. Even the third elder of the Sparrow God Palace would have to prepare well if he wanted to tear space apart. With the power of a single move, he could tear space apart. However, he still needed to prepare beforehand. It was impossible for him to do it as freely as Li Zongjie. Li Zongjie, on the other hand, looked a little too relaxed. The King of Fire was also on par with the heavenly monster tribesman, with the peerless sword in his hand. After all, the peerless sword was an ancient demon slayer sword. It possessed boundless power, and was made of a rather special material. It was tough and unyielding. With the sharpness of the peerless sword, he could completely suppress the heavenly monster tribesman. Of course, he also needed to see how capable the heavenly monster tribesman was. Li Zongjie extended his hand and summoned the peerless sword back to his hand. Facing the relentless heavenly monster tribesman, he slashed out with the sword. At the same time, Li Zongjie poured the chaotic qi in his body into the peerless sword. Boom! At this moment, the peerless sword seemed to erupt with true power. It surged out in an instant, and a terrifying force cut the heavenly monster tribesman in half. Bang! After being cut in half, the heavenly monster tribesman stopped moving. His entire body began to stiffen and change. In the end, he turned into a small statue. A wooden statue? Li Zongjie picked up the wooden statue that had been cut in half, and carefully observed it. The wood statue was made of a special material. Even after being cut in half, it still retained a strong vitality. Therefore, after being carved and injected with energy, it could become a puppet of the heavenly monster tribesman. It's not simple at all. Li Zongjie was shocked when he saw it. Before Li Zongjie took action, he thought that the heavenly monster tribesmen were real heavenly monster tribesmen. But now, it seemed that they were just puppets transformed from wooden statues. They were puppets. Just a puppet could possess such terrifying strength. It was clear that the heavenly monster tribesmen's methods were not ordinary. However, even though Li Zongjie knew how terrifying the heavenly monster tribesmen were, he still wanted to fight with them until the end. You go first. Li Zongjie could see that King of Fire was not in a good condition. Apparently, he had used up a lot of his energy to control the sword, and needed to recover. After all, King of Fire was just an artifact spirit, and not a real body. If it were not for King of Fire's sacrifice, Li Zongjie would not have been able to survive. It was hard to explain the entanglements and changes in the process. The Fire Ghost King nodded, and his figure once again rushed into the unparalleled sword. Then he fell silent. In the distance, the Du family members could feel Li Zongjie's decisiveness in the battle. Li Zongjie had finished his battle, while the third elder was still fighting a tough battle. If the third elder had not stepped into the honorable realm, he would have been killed by the heavenly monster tribesmen's puppets. Li Zongjie glanced at the third elder. He did not go forward to help. Their target is you. These are just puppets. Even if you interrogate them, you won't get anything. Li Zongjie landed on the side, and quietly watched the third elder of Sparrow God Palace fight. The third elder saw that Li Zongjie had finished off 2 of the puppets. Including the first 2, there were 4 puppets in total. He was shocked by Li Zongjie's strength. Now that he heard Li Zongjie's words, the third elder was enlightened. Obviously, Li Zongjie wanted the third elder to be captured by the puppets in front of him. This was the only way to find their specific location. He wanted the third elder to enter the tiger's den. Li Zongjie was willing to do anything to achieve his goal. Chapter 1295. This was why Li Zongjie had chosen to stand aside and watch. After all, the three elders had to work together to unlock the green bird platform. Therefore, the third elder's life wasn't in danger. However, if Li Zongjie wasn't strong enough to take back the green bird platform, Sparrow Divine Palace's last hope would be gone. The Ice Sparrow, who was watching the battle from below, didn't know what the two of them were talking about. The third elder was clearly having a hard time defending herself. However, Li Zongjie had chosen to stand aside and watch. He hadn't stepped forward to help at all. The Ice Sparrow couldn't understand this. What was Li Zongjie trying to do? Was he trying to show off his strength? If there was no need, why wasn't he killing the heavenly demon tribesmen quickly? The Du family naturally saw this scene as well. Why wasn't Li Zongjie helping? Could it be that Li Zongjie was deliberately trying to humiliate the third elder of Sparrow Divine Palace? Or was there some unresolved conflict between the two of them? Or were they in the middle of a negotiation? The third elder couldn't make up her mind. In the end, she finally made up her mind and asked Li Zongjie, "Do you really have the ability to take back the flying bird platform?" The third elder had already decided that even if she was captured, if Li Zongjie couldn't get the flying bird Dao platform back, she would self-destruct. At the same time, she held an elixir in her hand. "What do you think?" Li Zongjie said nonchalantly. In fact, he couldn't help but want to make a move and knock the third elder unconscious. He wasn't here to help Sparrow Divine Palace. As long as he could save Qi Yanran, it didn't matter even if everyone in Sparrow Divine Palace died. Therefore, Li Zongjie wasn't negotiating with her. "Then you'd better hurry." The third elder stuffed the elixir into her mouth and swallowed it. The elixir in her hand was a poison elixir with a delayed effect. "You only have 3 days. The elixir I just swallowed will take effect in 3 days. When that time comes, I will be poisoned to death. If you can't save me, I won't let the flying bird platform fall into the hands of the heavenly demon tribesmen," the third elder said nonchalantly. In other words, if Li Zongjie was unable to rescue the third elder and the others within 3 days, he would not be able to open the Flying Bird Dojo. He would have to wait for Qi Yanran to open it herself. However, if that was the case, who knew how many years would have passed? It would definitely be a long process. Then, the third elder gave up on fighting with the heavenly demon race puppet. In the next moment, the heavenly demon tribesman's sharp tail swung at the third elder, sending her flying. The third elder flew back a few hundred meters and spat out a mouthful of blood. The heavenly demon tribesman's puppet approached again and knocked the third elder unconscious with a flap of its wings. Then it wrapped its tail around the third elder. Swoosh! Her body instantly flew into the distance. She seemed to have disappeared into the void. The spectators were baffled by the scene in front of them. Why was everyone taken away? What's going on? When Bing Ke saw this, she was stunned for a moment. How could her elder be taken away by someone? However, Li Zongjie obviously didn't want to explain to these people. Immediately, her figure flashed. Boom! She also disappeared into the void. However, she didn't get too close. If she got too close, something might happen. While chasing, Li Zongjie's heart was gradually brewing a killing intent. These idiots actually dared to have designs on Qi Yanran. Since the Flying Bird Dao platform was so miraculous, Li Zongjie not only had to rescue Qi Yanran, but he also had to make sure that the Flying Bird Dao platform fell into Qi Yanran's hands. He couldn't let go of such a good thing. Evil Lord was still the same Evil Lord. Although he usually kept a low profile, he still did things as he pleased. Boom! The heavenly demon tribesman's puppet suddenly accelerated, as if it had sensed something. However, Li Zongjie had already locked onto the heavenly demon tribesman's puppet. It wouldn't be that easy to escape. After passing through the vast clouds, Li Zongjie quickly saw a few magnificent mountains. Such a unique geographical environment. Li Zongjie immediately thought to himself, Bulyuo Mountain. In his previous life, Li Zhongjie had also kept a respectful distance from the Buyuo Mountain, which was the top of the 10 Forbidden Lands. Once he had come to the Buyuo Mountain. Just by looking around the periphery, he discovered at least a dozen peak honorable meta beasts moving around in groups in Unluo Mountain. Therefore, Li Zhongjie had directly taken them away. After all, he had nothing. Li Zhongjie didn't need to waste his time here and take such a huge risk. He hadn't expected to return this time. It seemed like the heavenly demon tribesmen were hiding here. However, it made sense. In the vast eldritch demon realm, there weren't many places that were worthy of the heavenly demon tribesmen. Li Zhongjie should have thought of this long ago. However, since they were already here, none of them could return alive. At the peak of the Buyuo Mountain, in front of the green bird platform, a black-robed man was sitting cross-legged on a rock and cultivating. He raised his head slightly, and his lips curled into a smile. "Haha, Great Elder, you seem to be lying." The Great Elder seemed to have sensed something, and his expression changed immediately. He had a bad feeling. When he raised his head, he saw a figure falling rapidly from the sky. Boom! Bang! It was the puppet of the heavenly demon tribesman. With a light swing of its tail, it threw the third elder to the ground. At this moment, the third elder was still in an unconscious state. How is this possible? When the great elder saw that his third junior sister had been captured, his eyes were filled with disbelief. Could these people be so powerful that they could capture someone from the chaotic Yuan Bell? Or could it be that Li Zhongjie had released the third elder to save her life? If that was the case, it was really disappointing. You actually managed to destroy 4 of my puppets. I'm afraid that your junior sister has quite a powerful helper, the black-robed man said slowly. He was rather surprised by the loss of his puppets. After all, each of his puppets could easily fight against an honorable realm expert. Moreover, the one that was left was the weakest one. Therefore, she must have a strong helper. The black-robed man suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky. Boom! A black shadow flew over like a thunderbolt. At this moment, the night seemed to be completely lit up. Even the air in the Buyuo Mountain was split open. Chapter 1296. The black-robed man did not dodge. In his opinion, there was no power in this world that could force him to dodge. The black-clothed man quickly flipped his palm, and what seemed to be a wooden token shot into the sky. Boom! There was a strong collision. The surrounding air billowed, and the black-robed man's hat was blown away. This was the first time the great elder of Sparrow God Palace saw the black-robed man. He was a young man who was less than 20 years old. His eyes were as black as ink, and he looked extremely delicate. Although he had short hair, the great elder of Sparrow God Palace could tell that he was a woman. The heavenly monster tribe member, with such powerful means, was actually a woman. A shield was in front of him. Just now, when the lightning struck, a figure was sent flying and smashed into a nearby mountain peak. With a boom, the sound of the explosion destroyed the entire mountain. Swoosh! Li Zhongjie held the unparalleled sword and descended from the sky. The black dragon hammer was sent flying. Li Zhongjie's eyes were filled with coldness and killing intent when he landed in front of the heavenly monster tribe girl. She was the one who dared to touch his woman. Are you that reckless heavenly monster tribe member? Why is she a woman? Li Zhongjie looked at the girl in front of him and said indifferently. He frowned. Since she was a woman, there was no need for her to work so hard. Even if she worked so hard, she would not be able to continue her tribe in the future. Why did she have to work so hard? Are you a human? The heavenly monster tribe girl looked at Li Zhongjie. She had initially thought that it might be someone from the Sparrow Divine Palace who had made a move. However, after thinking about it, there were only so few people left in the Heavenly Sparrow clan. If there really was someone, they would have already made a move when she had destroyed the Sparrow Divine Palace. Where did Li Zhongjie come from? The second elder of Heavenly Bird Tribe was shocked when she saw Li Zhongjie. Back then, they had all thought that Li Zhongjie was not worthy of Qi Yinran. They had even sent an apostle to kill Li Zhongjie in order to sever Qi Yinran's longing for Li Zhongjie, so that she could cultivate peacefully and recreate the glory of the Sky Sparrow race. They had never thought that this ordinary person, who they looked down on would come across the sky. They did not know how far he had crossed. It was quite shocking for them. The fact that Li Zongjio was able to find this place proved that he was stronger than them. They had even threatened to assassinate Li Zongjio. It was too embarrassing. Be careful of his art of creation. The great elder reminded Li Zongjio. Although they did not like Li Zongjio was the only one who could save them now. Li Zongjio was the only one who could save them. It should be known that Li Zongjio's purpose was the same as theirs, which was to rescue Qi Yanran. As long as Qi Yanran was still alive, everything would be fine. After all, the inheritance of the Heavenly Sparrow clan had been handed over to Qi Yanran. Furthermore, the Green Bird platform could not fall into the hands of Heavenly Monster Tribe. I have never seen a human as strong as you. This is a matter of the Eldritch Demon Realm. It has nothing to do with the human tribe. The young lady of Heavenly Monster Tribe said slowly. He actually let down his guard in front of Li Zongjio. It was as if he was saying that even if he wasn't on guard now, Li Zongjio couldn't do anything to him. In that case, there was no need to be afraid of the person in front of him. No matter what you do, I have the confidence to defend myself. She did not care about Li Zongjio at all. I don't care what you do. Today, I will take the Flying Bird platform away. I will kill anyone who dares to stop me. Li Zongjio said in a serious tone. Heavenly Monster Tribe and Heavenly Bird Tribe had nothing to do with him. If they wanted to play a game of dominance, they should go to the side and not disturb Li Zongjio's people. Otherwise, Li Zongjio would not have to be polite with them. You are not qualified. The young lady from the Heavenly Demon Tribe shook her head slowly. Clearly, she was ignoring and rejecting Li Zongjio directly. In the eyes of the young lady from the Heavenly Demon Tribe, Li Zongjio was extremely weak. There was nothing to be afraid of. Very well. Li Zongjio's lips curled into a cold smile. Then he put away the unparalleled sword. I want to see how stubborn your mouth is. Li Zongjio was obviously going to attack. And he did not plan to use his sword. This guy from the Heavenly Demon Tribe really knew how to act. In that case, Li Zongjio would definitely let this guy have a taste of the power of the evil supremacy. In an instant, Li Zongjio moved. He attacked first. He pointed at the young lady of Heavenly Monster Tribe. It looked like a simple point, but it had completely sealed the space around the young lady of Heavenly Monster Tribe. No matter which direction she ran in, there was no way she could escape. Boom! The young lady of Heavenly Monster Tribe also pointed with her finger. She was not afraid of Li Zongjio's attack. As for the seal around her, she casually raised her hand and shattered it. Both of their fingers pointed at the same time. Immediately, a wave of terrifying power surged out. It burst out from between the two people's fingers. It was as if a star had exploded directly. The terrifying destructive power instantly swallowed the two of them. Suddenly, a huge bell fell from the sky. The primordial bell. Boom. The primordial bell fell and covered the three elders of Sparrow God Palace and the Green Bird platform. The three elders appeared in the world of the primordial bell. They saw a pile of corpses in the distance. They should be the two Heavenly Demon Tribe puppets that Li Zongjio had brought in. They had rushed into the primordial chaos region and were crushed into pieces. This Li Zongjio can actually control the primordial bell. What kind of monster is he? The Great Elder sighed. Although he was in the primordial bell, he had not recovered his strength. He was bound by the chains and could not break free. Furthermore, all of his cultivation base had been sealed. Junior sister, wake up. The third elder had also woken up in a daze. Due to his heavy injuries, his current aura was extremely weak. However, under the first elder's call, he finally opened his eyes. Great senior sister. The third elder exclaimed when he saw the situation in front of him. He looked around and saw the primordial bell. It seemed that Li Zongjio had succeeded. The Heavenly Monster Tribe girl looked at the primordial bell indifferently. She did not seem to panic at the appearance of the primordial bell. I was wondering why the primordial bell wasn't here. So it's in your hands. In order to protect the Blue Bird Dao platform, those three old things must have opened it as soon as they escaped. If that's the case, I really have to thank you. The Heavenly Monster Tribe girl seemed very confident. She had even predicted Li Zhongjio's move. You don't have to be so polite. Li Zhongjio sneered. Once Qi Yinran escaped safely, he would be able to take back the Green Bird platform without hesitation. It seems that the key to breaking through to the absolute saint realm is not the cultivation technique, but these things. Li Zhongjio said slowly. This made the heavenly monster tribe girl look surprised, which was rare for her. You've actually reached this level? The two of them were floating in a space that was constantly shattering. It was as if they were in a bottomless abyss. If they were not careful, they would fall into the abyss. If they were sucked in by the storm behind them, they would be crippled. Even if they were extremely powerful, they would not be able to return. But clearly, the two of them were confident that they would not be swallowed by the storm behind them. Li Zhongjio was very curious about the heavenly monster tribe girl's background. He had never heard of her in his previous life. But Li Zhongjio did not have time to think about this. The heavenly monster tribe girl did not seem to want to waste any more time with Li Zhongjio. Since Li Zhongjio had already reached this level, she was indeed very surprised. But that was all. The heavenly monster tribe had to enter the sacred martial realm. They would use the power of the sacred martial realm to create a new heavenly monster tribe. It had taken them tens of thousands of years to give birth to a heavenly monster. They could not miss this opportunity. Chapter 1297. Li Zhongjio was also surprised by his opponent's strength. However, it would not be easy for the girl from the heavenly monster tribe to take down Li Zhongjio. The two of them seemed to be stalling for time. They were waiting for the flying bird platform in the chaotic Yuan Bell to be unsealed. However, the girl from the heavenly monster tribe wanted to test Li Zhongjio's strength. A carving knife appeared in his hand. He waved the carving knife casually in the void and summoned a dozen figures. All of them transformed into dragon sparrows and rushed toward Li Zhongjio crazily. Boom! Li Zhongjio used his limbs as well. His chaotic body made him invulnerable, possessing boundless power. He could easily block the dragon sparrow's attacks. Whoosh! Li Zhongjio's fist shook. The terrifying power of his fist shattered several dragon sparrows in the air. However, the rest of the dragon sparrows swarmed forward and dragged Li Zhongjio away. The young lady from the heavenly demon tribe gently waved the carving knife in her hand towards the mountain behind her, cutting off the tip of the mountain. Then, she casually directed the mountain to smash towards Li Zhongjio. Mountain-toppling golden seal. A ray of light smashed the top of the mountain. The handprint continued to fall toward the girl. However, the girl waved her carving knife and created a wall of air in front of her. It blocked the remaining power of Li Zhongjio's mountain-toppling golden seal easily. The carving knife in her hand danced between her fingers and slashed in the direction of Li Zhongjio. Li Zhongjio immediately felt as if the space around him had been cut open. Whoosh! Li Zhongjio broke the shackles in front of him with a punch and instantly landed on the ground. Two dragon sparrows chased after him. Li Zhongjio grabbed it with both hands and pressed it to the ground. He crushed it and turned it into a pile of mud. Your tricks are useless against me. The other party's technique was somewhat mysterious. Even if the three elders of the Sky Sparrow clan joined forces, they were still unable to withstand it. However, Li Zhongjio had just finished speaking. The girl opposite him sneered. Really? Li Zhongjio also subconsciously looked at the ground. It turned out that this stinky girl had actually directly drawn a formation without him noticing. At Li Zhongjio's level, although he could not tell what kind of formation it was for the time being, Li Zhongjio still could not figure it out. However, it had to be known that the other party had broken the level 10 array of the Divine Sparrow Palace. The other party's array formation cultivation had to be above his. Oh no! Li Zhongjio bellowed and threw a punch at the space in the distance. But it was too late. The other party was also a top-notch expert in this area. His strength and realm were even above Li Zhongjio's. Therefore, under the situation of this situation, as a result, Li Zhongjio had fallen into the trap. Immediately, the array was activated and completely trapped Li Zhongjio. Boom! Li Zhongjio felt the power around him spreading. He was slightly surprised as the world around him began to change. Layers of mountains seemed to be stacked on top of him. 100,000 mountain arrays. It's enough to keep you busy for a while. The girl from the heavenly monster tribe heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Li Zongjio trapped in the array. In comparison, Li Zongjio was still a considerable threat. After all, Li Zongjio's strength had already surpassed the elders of the Sky Sparrow clan. She could not afford to be careless in this matter. There could not be any accidents. Therefore, trapping Li Zongjio in the array was the safest way. You have cultivated the chaotic body. If not, you would have died long ago. The girl from the heavenly monster tribe said indifferently. Fortunately, she had kept a trick up her sleeve and set up an array. Now it was not wasted. It was put to good use. With their strength, they will be able to break my chains in less than 5 days. As for releasing the people in the Flying Bird Dao platform, we must make these people feel despair. The girl put on her hat again. Then, she sat down cross-legged and meditated. As she cultivated, the carving knife in her hand turned into a ray of light. The heavenly monster tribe's original treasure. The Blade of Creation. The Blade of Creation had the ability to steal the heavens and earth. It could truly turn something rotten into something magical. It was difficult to see through it. Such a treasure could not be duplicated. The girl from the heavenly monster tribe also relied on the power of the Blade of Creation to cultivate. Inside the chaotic Yuan Bell, 5 days had passed. The third elder's cultivation had recovered, and he had finally removed the chains that bound the two of them. As for the poison in the third elder's body, he had already taken the antidote. Now Li Zongjio was halfway to success. At least, they did not fall into the hands of the heavenly monster tribe. However, they were still trapped in the chaotic Yuan Bell. It was only relatively safe. With my current level of control over the chaotic Yuan Bell, it is not difficult to get out, the first elder said slowly. However, even if he went out now, he wouldn't know what was going on outside. In the end, he would only fall into the tiger's den. Instead, it was safer to hide inside the primordial bell. Could that person also control the chaotic Yuan Bell? The third elder had seen Li Zongjio's strength, but no one would have thought that Li Zongjio could directly control the power of the chaotic Yuan Bell. Impossible. Although I don't know how Li Zongjio did it, it would take at least 100 years to master the chaotic Yuan Bell. Even Li Zongjio seems to only be able to control the chaotic Yuan Bell. He can't use it to attack. Otherwise, the heavenly monster tribe would not be his match. The first elder said in a deep voice. Before Li Zongjio opens the chaotic Yuan Bell, let's not go out. We will stay here and guard the Green Bird platform. Yes. The three of them agreed unanimously. It was a very good decision. If they went out they would die. Although they were trapped in the chaotic Yuan Bell and had no freedom, it was still relatively safe. However, the three of them did not relax for long. Then he felt the world of the primordial bell shake slightly. Could it be that Li Zongjio defeated that guy? It must be. Otherwise, the chaotic Yuan Bell would not be opened. The three of them discussed. In the next moment, the chaotic Yuan Bell was lifted. A black shadow appeared in front of the three of them. The chaotic Yuan Bell fell to the ground with a loud bang. A dazzling light shone on them. This was a completely different world from the outside. It was not the same state. It's her. The first elder and the others could not wait to see how the battle was going. However, all they saw was the girl in black from the heavenly monster tribe. Sorry to disappoint you. Chapter 1298. The hearts of the three Sparrow God Palace elders skipped a beat when they saw the young lady from the heavenly demon race. They wondered why Li Zongjio wasn't here. Could it be that Li Zongjio had been killed? I've trapped your helper. He won't be able to get out for at least 8 to 10 years. The girl from the heavenly monster tribe said slowly. They were in despair. The three of them were in complete despair. Now this last hope had been completely obliterated. They were completely drowned by the girl from the heavenly monster tribe. There was no chance for them to turn the tables. The hearts of the three elders seemed to have fallen to the bottom of the valley. You too, take the bluebird platform and leave. The great elder suddenly shouted. He flipped his palm and sent the two of them flying. At the same time, the bluebird platform flew up. The great elder used all his strength and rushed toward the girl from the heavenly monster tribe. Boom! He waved his palm. The girl from the heavenly monster tribe was completely covered. The surrounding wind and clouds were like a turbulent undercurrent, drowning her. However, the girl from the heavenly monster tribe didn't move at all. Boom! The palm hit nothing. It was just a clone. The first elder's heart skipped a beat. The next moment there was a loud boom. The two elders who were sent flying were also trapped by two powerful forces with a boom. At the same time, the girl from the heavenly monster tribe appeared behind them. With a wave of his hand, a few silver needles appeared in his hand and instantly pierced into the temples of the two men. Ugh! Immediately, the bodies of these two people stiffened. They did not have the slightest bit of strength to resist, and were directly fixed in place by the other party. At the same time, the silver needle entered their bodies and instantly controlled them. These two are under my control. Do you think you can turn the tables? The girl in black said slowly. I'll only take the bluebird platform for 10,000 years. After 10,000 years, you can find someone to take it back. If I give it to you, the entire primitive demon realm will be destroyed. Even if the heavenly sparrow tribe is destroyed, we won't give it to you. The first elder shook his head slowly. This was a rule that had been set a long time ago. Even the old ancestor had made it clear that these items could not be handed over. In fact, they could not even be placed together. He had to tenaciously guard it. If he couldn't take it, then he would destroy it. Your death is naturally not a problem. Do you want these people to die with you? Don't you know how many people have already died? The black-clothed girl said indifferently. If I wanted to kill that young man, it would be as easy as flipping my hand. And the people on the Bluebird Dao platform, are you willing to sacrifice them? Your heavenly sparrow clan is the real cold-blooded one. When it came to the death of this young man, the black-clothed girl was keenly aware that the bluebird platform in front of her suddenly trembled slightly. The black-clothed girl's eyes suddenly became sharp. His gaze instantly locked onto the bluebird platform. Immediately, a ray of cold light was released from the bluebird Dao platform. With the appearance of the cold light, the originally gentle bluebird Dao platform suddenly became extremely troublesome. It was difficult for anyone to get close to it. Anyone who got close would be forced back by the bluebird Dao platform. Even the black-clothed girl was stunned by this aura for a moment. This is interesting. The great elder of Sparrow Divine Palace was stunned when he saw this scene. Then, he couldn't help but reveal a look of ecstasy, because this fluctuation meant that the great elder of Sparrow Divine Palace Qi Yinran had already completed all the inheritance tests. However, he did not know whether it was a good or bad thing for her to appear now. The first elder had no way to stop this from happening. He could only wait and see. But did Qi Yinran really complete the inheritance? How could it be so fast? How long had it been? No matter how talented she was, she would need decades, or even hundreds of years to complete the inheritance test. Suddenly, a ray of 5-colored divine light was released from the Bluebird Dao platform. The light gushed out and immediately shone brilliantly. Boom! The entire No Luo mountain range immediately released an extremely terrifying aura. The first elder was also forced back by this aura. However, it was also quite shocking. The first elder couldn't help but reveal a look of surprise on his face. Such a terrifying and pure 5-colored divine light. The first elder was pleasantly surprised. One must know that after cultivating for so long, the power of the 5-colored divine light that she had gathered was not even 1/10,000th of this power. Only after obtaining the true inheritance would one be able to release such power. Only then could she reach such a level. The black-clothed girl used the blade of creation in her hand to encircle her body and barely blocked the 5-colored divine light. Then, a white figure appeared from the Bluebird Dao platform. The figure was immediately surrounded by this tyrannical power. Boom! The desolate heaven essence turned into a ray of light that twined around the figure. Chirp chirp! A light blue bird landed on the figure's shoulder. It was simply combing its feathers. Yinran! The first elder's eyes were filled with hot tears. The power of the ancestral bird. The complete power of the ancestral bird. The first elder's eyes were filled with hot tears as he watched this scene unfold. He had been waiting for this for a long time, and today, he could finally see this scene. It finally appeared. The black-clothed girl stood in the air. When she saw the person in front of her, she was slightly surprised. Qi Yinran's gaze gradually converged. She stretched out her hand, and the desolate heaven essence appeared in her hand, transforming into a long staff. Qi Yinran first glanced at the first elder in front of her. There was no emotion in her eyes. Then, she looked at the black-clothed girl in front of her. "Where is Li Zongjio?" Qi Yinran asked. Obviously, Qi Yinran had sensed Li Zongjio's existence and completed the inheritance in advance at such a juncture. How strong was her willpower and talent? However, before the black-clothed girl could speak, Qi Yinran's gaze was fixed on a pile of rocks below. A ray of light flashed in her eyes. She immediately discovered Li Zongjio's figure. At this moment Li Zongjio, who was trapped in the large array, seemed to have sensed Qi Yinran's appearance. This was because the power of the desolate heaven essence was so clear. "Yinran!" Li Zongjio roared in a low voice. At this moment, the 100,000 mountains that were pressing down on his body crumbled with a loud bang. Boom! Li Zongjio swallowed the blood rupture elixir into his mouth. The sudden surge in power completely destroyed the power of the great array. Boom! Li Zongjio's terrifying aura suddenly rushed to the sky. Yinran! Li Zongjio's figure broke free, and finally saw the white figure in front of him. Qi Yinran's delicate body also trembled. It had been a long time since she saw Li Zongjio. This pair. What's going on? Even the black-clothed girl could not help but ridicule them in her heart. One of them had suddenly rushed out of the green bird platform for some unknown reason, and the other had actually rushed out of the level 10 array she had set up, the 10,000 mountains array. Chapter 1299. Little girl, it took me a long time to find you. Li Zongjio came to Qi Yinran's side and hugged her in his arms. He patted the back of Qi Yinran's head. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with Qi Yinran's disappearance for half a year. Li Zongjio did not expect that Qi Yinran would encounter such a thing. He had captured the mountain seagull to ensure Qi Yinran's safety. He did not expect to bring Qi Yinran to such a place. Fortunately, he had brought Qi Yinran back this time. He had finally found Qi Yinran. It was because of the mountain seagull that Qi Yinran was able to survive. It was difficult to distinguish the cause and effect. Most importantly, he had finally reunited with Qi Yinran. Originally, the two of them would not care about other things after reuniting. However, Li Zongjio glanced at the people of Sparrow Divine Palace. Did they imprison you? Li Zongjio's tone was extremely cold. There was a murderous look in Li Zongjio's eyes. It was precisely because of these people's self-righteousness that they restricted Qi Yinran's freedom. This was something that Li Zongjio would never allow. Otherwise, they would think that they could do whatever they wanted to Li Zongjio's people, just because they had some ability. Wouldn't that be lawless? He must teach these people a lesson, so that they would remember it deeply. Don't blame them. They have their own difficulties. Qi Yinran held Li Zongjio's hand. Then she took a step forward. Although there was anger in her eyes, there was a trace of understanding. After all, the other party had given Qi Yinran an extremely important inheritance. This was the most important thing in the Sparrow Divine Palace. Because of Qi Yinran's physique, it was very suitable for cultivation. If they missed out on Qi Yinran, they didn't know how long it would take for them to have such an opportunity. Therefore, regardless of the consequences, they sent her to the Green Bird platform and forced her to accept the inheritance. At this moment, they were most worried because they did not know if Qi Yinran was really willing to accept such an inheritance. Now that Qi Yinran had obtained the inheritance of Sparrow Divine Palace, it would be a disaster for them if she was not willing to continue the inheritance. I will help you pass on your legacies. If there is a suitable person, I will teach her. I will not let this legacy end here. Qi Yinran said when she saw the concern in the elder's eyes. One had to know that these people had already resorted to all sorts of unscrupulous means in order to pass on this legacy. It was quite pitiful. It was quite pitiful for these three old men. They had waited bitterly for this legacy for such a long time. Thank you, young lady. According to the rules, Now that you have obtained the inheritance of the Green Bird platform, you are now the Palace Master of Sparrow Divine Palace. We pay our respects to the Palace Master. The three elders of Sparrow Divine Palace knelt down in front of Qi Yinran. Li Zongjiu's face was also filled with helplessness. These old fogies were indeed very stubborn. Rules were rules, and they had never thought of breaking them. Qi Yinran raised her hand casually and lifted the three of them up. You don't have to do this. I am not willing to be your palace master. This is a separate matter. Qi Yinran was kind by nature, but she was never sloppy when doing things. Who knew what kind of price she would have to pay, and what she would have to do if she became the palace master of Sparrow Divine Palace? It was already good enough that she could pass on the legacy. Don't even think about binding her to the palace master. Li Zongjiu naturally admired Qi Yinran's style. She was gradually becoming more and more like him. I see that you have finished chatting. Give me the Green Bird platform, and I will not kill you. The Heavenly Monster Tribe girl was still standing aside, although she had been ignored. However, the girl wasn't angry at all. Instead, she patiently waited for the person in front of her to clarify the matter. Everything had to be clarified and understood clearly. We are done chatting. Now it's time to settle the score between us. You used the Great Array to trap my man. It's time for you to pay for this. Qi Yinran's eyes were filled with murderous intent. It was because of this pressure that Qi Yinran was able to quickly refine the inheritance and even come out of seclusion in advance. However, her purpose of coming out was to beat up the Heavenly Monster Tribe girl in front of her. How dare she trap her Li Zongjiu? This caused her to be rather angry and extremely displeased. Therefore, no matter what the situation was, she had to beat up the person in front of her first. Li Zongjiu glanced at Qi Yinran in surprise. He didn't expect that this girl, who looked very weak, would be so cool when she stood up for him. Moreover, just now the aura and fluctuations that Qi Yinran had erupted from her body were extremely powerful. Although Li Zongjiu only felt a little, he was still shocked. This is going to be troublesome. Why do I feel that this girl is about to reach the absolute saint realm? This was something that Li Zongjiu had never expected. To think that something like this could happen. Just because he had obtained some sort of inheritance, he actually had such a huge breakthrough. It was even more powerful than his elixir. Li Zongjiu could not believe it. However, the Heavenly Monster Tribe girl smiled. Under the hat, her cold and emotionless eyes began to gather murderous intent. In that case, you can come at me together. A short knife appeared in her hand. At this moment, the Heavenly Monster Tribe girl was ready to attack. Now that the restriction of the Green Bird platform had been removed, she only needed to get this thing. She waved her hand. The primeval chaos bell followed his movements and flew up. With a loud boom, it trapped the three elders of the Sparrow Divine Palace once again. Boom! The three elders' faces were also filled with resentment and anger. However, there was nothing they could do. They could only watch helplessly as the chaos bell trapped them. As soon as they came out, they were trapped again. Qi Yinran did not hold back. The flying bird platform under her feet turned into a long rainbow and attached itself to Qi Yinran's back, becoming a pair of wings. The desolate heaven essence in her hand also turned into a turbulent light with a boom and whizzed out. Boom! Rumble! When the desolate heaven essence was thrown out, it shattered the air around it. It seemed to have created a terrifying fluctuation. It penetrated through space and headed for the girl in black. However, the girl in black did not dodge. The blade of destiny in her hand moved gently. It actually split the space into two halves. After swallowing the desolate heaven essence in Qi Yinran's hand, she waved her hand and several black shadows flew towards Qi Yinran. They were flying daggers. Li Zongjiu did the same. The soul-slaying dagger accurately deflected the flying daggers. There was no reason for him to just stand there and watch Qi Yinran attack. That would be too lazy. Moreover, Qi Yinran had just broken through and needed time to adapt to her strength. If she did not control it well, she might end up making a fool of herself, and even give her opponent an opportunity to seize. The girl in black was not afraid of the two of them working together. Her figure flashed and rushed towards them. However, in the process hundreds of figures appeared. Rumble! Every single one of them charged over with a thunderous momentum. The light wings behind Qi Yinran flapped gently, and tens of thousands of rays of light were released. They turned into cold rays of light that illuminated the sky and penetrated the dozens of figures that had transformed into illusionary figures. All of a sudden, the black-clothed girl's figure appeared out of nowhere. At the same time, she waved her hand, and her left hand turned into a dragon claw. She grabbed at Qi Yinran. Oh! Qi Yinran did not expect her opponent to be able to transform into a dragon claw. The aura formed by the Yuan power around her was immediately penetrated by her opponent's dragon claw. However, Li Zongjio's figure appeared beside Qi Yinran and threw a punch at the dragon claw. Chapter 1300. Li Zongjio's fist collided with his opponent's dragon claw. A tyrannical elemental energy wave instantly erupted. Li Zongjio could clearly feel the vibration of his Yuan energy. A look of surprise flashed across his eyes. His opponent was clearly surprised as well. She had not expected Li Zongjio to be able to block her dragon claw. Furthermore, she could feel the same elemental energy from Li Zongjio's body. Roar! Immediately, a ray of golden light emerged. The golden dragon original spirit instantly fell onto Li Zongjio's body. At the same time, Li Zongjio's body glowed with golden light, as if he was a little golden man. Dragon original spirit? A look of surprise flashed across the heavenly monster tribe girl's eyes. Obviously, he didn't expect Li Zongjio to be able to refine the dragon clan's original spirit. How did he do it? Could it be that he directly went to the dragon island and killed everyone? Whoosh! Another ray of white light came from behind her. Bam! The desolate heaven essence transformed into a rope and wrapped around the heavenly monster tribe girl's hand. At this moment her hand was restored. Her hand was bound by the desolate heaven essence, but the heavenly monster tribe girl pulled hard and pulled Qi Yinran's body towards her. Boom! Bam! The light wings behind Qi Yinran suddenly shook, and the powerful force made Qi Yinran's figure stop. The two of them were in a stalemate in terms of strength. Nirvana cut. The unparalleled sword appeared in Li Zongjio's hand. With a wave of sword energy, a torrential sword energy surged out. It was as if it could split heaven and earth. In the face of this sword that could almost kill him, he was shocked. A cold light flashed across the heavenly monster tribe girl's eyes. Clang! The blade of creation appeared and collided with her opponent's attack. With a loud boom, the three of them were sent flying by the terrifying shockwave. Before they were sent flying, the heavenly demon tribe girl waved her hand and threw a chi blade at Qi Yinran. Clearly, in the eyes of the heavenly demon tribe girl, Qi Yinran was more of a threat than Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio was very experienced in fighting. When he saw the other party attack, he did not hesitate to throw out the soul-slaying flying dagger. Bang! The moment they collided, it caused quite a commotion. The soul-slaying flying dagger whistled through the air and sped off into the distance. However, after Li Zongjio stabilized himself, he summoned the soul-burning array before his opponent could react. The massive burning soul pillar descended from the sky, trapping the heavenly monster tribe girl inside. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying aura spread out. The terrifying aura of the soul-burning formation rolled over. The strong aura also made Qi Yinran unable to open her eyes. Then he saw a large array floating in front of him. Seeing this, Qi Yinran was also slightly surprised. She really didn't know where Li Zongjio had gotten such a method. What a powerful formation! Qi Yinran said in surprise. Your wings are also not bad, Li Zongjio said with a smile. However, the smile in his eyes was not as relaxed as before. This person is an expert in formations. My soul-burning formation will not be able to trap her for too long, Li Zongjio said in a low voice. The other party could easily break the formation of the Sparrow God Palace and set up a formation to trap Li Zongjio in an extremely short period of time. He knew that the latter's cultivation and formations was extraordinary. Then let's go. Let's retreat first, Li Zongjio said. Even the soul-burning formation was left here. Okay. However, the two of them did not have time to leave. Li Zongjio's soul-burning formation exploded into pieces with a loud boom. A huge dragon sparrow emerged from the ruins with a roar. In that case, don't blame me for being ruthless. The heavenly monster tribe girl, who had transformed into a dragon sparrow, had a cold light in her eyes. She crushed the soul-burning pillar under her feet with her claws. Although the burning soul pillar refined by Wuxia was extremely difficult, and the materials used were also extremely exquisite. However, Wuxia's strength was limited. After all, there was a limit to how many soul-burning pillars he could refine. It was normal for it to be destroyed so easily by the other party. Furthermore, the figure of this dragon sparrow was constantly enlarging. Boom. In the end, the dragon sparrow's body was more than 10,000 feet tall. As the origin energy circulated and flowed, Li Zongjio finally understood why the people of the Sparrow God Palace and the Dragon Tribe were so afraid of the Heavenly Monster Tribe and had to join forces to destroy the Heavenly Monster Tribe. A heavenly monster in its original form was extremely terrifying. Heavenly Dragon Sparrow. The name itself was so majestic and imposing. Roar. The heavenly dragon sparrow spat out a flame that was 10,000 feet tall. The difference in size between the two parties was so huge that it could not be measured with the naked eye. Therefore, the other party's slight movement was enough to wrap them up. Li Zongjio hurriedly took Qi Yinran and fled into the distance. However, halfway through, Qi Yinran seemed to feel that Li Zongjio's speed was too slow. She hugged Li Zongjio, and the light wings on her back expanded more than 100 times in an instant. Boom! With a slight vibration, the two of them were brought dozens of miles away. The unfalling mountain behind them had turned into a terrifying light and was completely engulfed by the flames. It's too big. Li Zongjio could not help but complain. Qi Yinran seemed to have exhausted her strength, but the other party still caught up with them. It grabbed a mountain with its claws and smashed it toward Qi Yinran and Wu Tian. Qi Yinran immediately released the power of the light wings and trapped the two of them. Boom! Qi Yinran suddenly felt something sweet in her throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. After all, he had been hit by a mountain. Hide behind me. Li Zongjio hugged Qi Yinran. After all, Qi Yinran had used up all her strength to dodge the other party's attack. At this moment, Li Zongjio also consumed the last half of the blood-breaking pill. Immediately, he released the aura around him. The power of the 4 great dragon souls was unleashed without reservation at this moment. However, the 4 dragon souls were still very small in front of the other party. The heavenly dragon sparrow showed no mercy. As long as she killed Qi Yinran, she could get the blue bird platform and save the entire heavenly monster tribe. She could pass down the legacy of her tribe. She carried the mission of passing down the legacy on her shoulders. If she couldn't succeed, if she failed, everything would be meaningless. The heavenly monster tribe would cease to exist. In order to prevent such a thing from happening, she must complete the task. Even if she had to kill more people, it would be worth it. If you want to blame someone, blame them for blocking the way. In fact, the heavenly monster tribe girl had been merciful. However, in order to save her tribe, she had to be ruthless. Found it. It's really here. After Li Zongjio took the blood-breaking pill, he immediately enlarged the White Dragon Original Spirit. With the help of the White Dragon Original Spirit, he quickly found a place that Li Zongjio had studied in his previous life. Chapter 1301. Teleportation Formation. It was a top-notch formation in the world of formations. To set up such a teleportation formation, it required at least dozens of level 10 formation masters to carve it carefully at the same time. Only in this way could it be possible to open up this teleportation formation. However, Li Zongjio had spent most of his time in the 3,000 years of his previous life on elixirs. He had only heard a little about formations and had a little understanding of them. However, he did not delve into them. Until now, Li Zongjio was already a level 8 formation master. He had some understanding of formations. Since it was impossible to cross the limit of the Great Realm of Desolation, there must be other ways to go to the sacred martial realm. Now Li Zongjio had come to the Bulyo Mountain. He had been wandering in the Great Realm of Desolation for a long time. Li Zongjio was also consciously or unconsciously judging the surrounding terrain, to see if the legendary teleportation formation really existed. Who knew that he would actually find it? Li Zhongjio immediately threw out hundreds of primordial stones of the highest grade. They all fell into the energy slot of the teleportation formation. The heavenly demon chased relentlessly. He also saw the teleportation formation that Li Zhongjio had found at a glance. A fierce light flashed in his eyes. He swung his tail downward. Boom! A huge force instantly descended. In order to prevent the heavenly demon from destroying the teleportation formation, Li Zhongjio summoned the power of the 4 primordial spirits and forcibly blocked the heavenly demon's attack. Boom! Li Zhongjio's mind was also trembling violently, as if he was violently shocked at this moment. Li Zhongjio also shouted in a low voice. He let out a painful roar. Obviously, the strength of the heavenly demon in front of him had exceeded what Li Zhongjio could bear. The heavenly demon's strength exceeded Li Zhongjio's by too much, so Li Zhongjio could not resist. This guy's strength is really strong. Li Zhongjio thought to himself. Even if he was at the peak of his previous life, he might not be able to defeat the person in front of him. In his previous life, he didn't know that there was such a terrifying expert. However, if it was Li Zhongjio at his peak condition in his previous life, he would at most be able to tie with this person in front of him. Unparalleled sword. Li Zhongjio cooperated with the power of the 4 primordial spirits and borrowed the power of the unparalleled sword. Immediately, a terrifying force was released. The terrifying power that was condensed and circulating on the unparalleled sword attracted all the Yuan power within a radius of 10,000 miles. You go down first and activate the formation, Li Zhongjio said to Qi Yinran behind him. Just now, Qi Yinran had also exhausted her cultivation. Because her control of the Blue Bird Dao platform was not perfect, the state she had displayed before had been forcibly displayed. Qi Yinran also fell into the array. The opponent's momentum was fierce. If she faced him head-on, she would indeed end up in a miserable state. Therefore, Qi Yinran also understood that she could only protect herself by leaving now. As for the Blue Bird Dao platform, after Qi Yinran had absorbed all the inheritance in it, it had become one with the Blue Bird Dao platform. Because the Blue Bird Dao platform had directly become Qi Yinran's life source magic treasure. Therefore, if she wanted to hand over her life source magic treasure, it would be equivalent to taking Qi Yinran's life. Fortunately, Qi Yinran's inheritance also contained the content and knowledge of this array. Although Qi Yinran had not reached the realm of a level 9 array master, in the study of this array, she was already superior to Li Zhongjio. This was because the inheritance of the Blue Bird Dao platform itself was a top existence. The essence of the Heavenly Sparrow clan for generations was all stored in the Blue Bird Dao platform. Therefore, such a situation had occurred. It had forcibly created a top expert, who was Qi Yinran. This was a huge bargain. Therefore, Qi Yinran agreed to help the Divine Sparrow Palace to continue the inheritance. After all, the benefits were too great. With Qi Yinran's help, the ancient array, which had been dormant for a long time, was immediately activated. Immediately, there seemed to be countless mechanisms moving under the array. Rumble! A series of terrifying noises erupted from beneath the ground. The power of hundreds of primordial stones was consumed in an instant. Qi Yinran patted her pocket. Suddenly, thousands of primordial stones flew out from her pocket and directly replenished the array. Immediately the array, which was about to stop, began to operate crazily again. These primordial stones were obtained by Qi Yinran from the Blue Bird Dao platform. Although the Qi family was in the mining business, it was not easy to find so many primordial stones and take them all out at once. If it was in primitive sect, it would be possible. As for how much wealth was stored in the Blue Bird Dao platform, it was simply impossible to guess. Even Qi Yinran herself could not believe it. Generations of Divine Sparrow Palace members continued to pass down the inheritance. The accumulated wealth was stored in the Blue Bird Dao platform. Even the 3 elders of Divine Sparrow Palace did not know how much wealth there was. Now it all belonged to Qi Yinran. Obviously, if Qi Yinran had enough time, her future achievements would be greater than Li Zhongjio's. You can't escape, the heavenly demon shouted. Below, he could clearly feel the activation of the transmission array. Immediately, the heavenly demon's attack intensified. Li Zongjio relied on the unparalleled sword and half of the blood-breaking pill. He was able to resist for a while, but the pill's effect in his body was rapidly weakening. This made Li Zongjio's heart sink. "Zongjio, the array has been activated." Qi Yanran suddenly shouted from below. Hearing this, Li Zongjio's body shook, and he wanted to fall down. Seeing this, the sky demon also reached out to grab him. "You can't escape." Li Zongjio did not dodge the attack. Instead, a cold light was emitted from his eyes. It was as if an ancient universe was changing in Li Zongjio's eyes. Boom! At this moment, the sky demon's ferocious eyes were abruptly stunned. His body seemed to be frozen on the spot. His huge body was also frozen. Li Zongjio's eyes turned blood red. Blood even flowed out from his ears and nose. Obviously, he had used the evil soul eye. In order to control the huge heavenly demon dragon sparrow, Li Zongjio was severely injured. However, he still managed to control the heavenly demon dragon sparrow. He landed on the ground. "Let's go. Let's teleport away first." Li Zongjio grabbed Qi Yanran's hand. She felt Li Zongjio's power. Although she did not know where the transmission array would teleport them, as long as she was with Li Zongjio, it was enough. Boom! A terrifying spatial fluctuation immediately reverberated in the Buluo mountain range. Chapter 1302. The power of the formation instantly enveloped the two of them. Li Zongjio held Qi Yanran in his arms. At this moment, there seemed to be countless sharp blades cutting back and forth on Li Zongjio's body. Fortunately, Li Zongjio practiced the ancient arts of invulnerability of Tyrant, so his body was rather tough. At the same time, he had fused with chaotic force and gained the chaotic body. Although the chaotic body was not extremely pure, it was still extremely tough. Li Zongjio condensed his aura and hugged Qi Yanran tightly. Even with Li Zongjio's cultivation defense, his skin and flesh had been cut open. Li Zongjio kept screaming. Boom! The light instantly engulfed the two of them. In the blink of an eye, the two of them disappeared on the spot. However, the huge heavenly demonic dragon sparrow in the sky also disappeared. In the Buluo mountain range, the wind and clouds surged and calmed down again. However, the fluctuations that had erupted previously made all the creatures in the untainted land tremble. No one had ever thought about what had happened in the Buluo mountain range. No one dared to come and investigate. How much courage and strength must one have to be to enter the Buluo mountain range? Everything disappeared very quickly. As for Li Zongjio and Qi Yanran, it was as if they were walking in the darkness for a few seconds. Soon, they felt their bodies land on the ground and regained control of their bodies. Li Zongjio relied on his strong willpower to support himself. Only then did he forcibly support his body and stand still. At the same time, he held Qi Yanran in his arms. Qi Yanran had already fallen into a coma. That level of shuttling just now was unbearable for her. Li Zongjio's condition was stable, but not optimistic. The original energy in his body had disappeared. Even the 4 dragon souls had retreated into the original bead. Obviously, they were in a state of jealousy and dispirited. Even the state of his body was very poor. Li Zongjio hugged Qi Yanran and looked around. The current situation was similar to the situation in the Holy Martial Continent. However, Li Zongjio and the others seemed to have landed in a valley. The surroundings were quiet, but Li Zongjio could clearly sense it. It seems that this is the legendary Holy Martial Realm. Although it was somewhat unbelievable, it was possible. Even Li Zongjio could be reborn. At this moment, it was very normal to be directly transmitted to the Holy Martial Realm through the teleportation formation in the Buluo mountain range. The abundance of Yuan Li and spiritual qi in the surroundings was many times higher than in the Holy Martial Continent. The density with spiritual qi was simply unbelievable. Even if he didn't do anything and just breathed naturally every day, he could easily break through. This is the legendary Holy Martial Realm. I don't know what will happen. In order to ensure safety and avoid accidents, Li Zongjio also took Qi Yanran into the forest. At the side of a clear lake, Li Zongjio first put Qi Yinran on the ground. Then, with the sharpness of the unparalleled sword, he cut down a few big trees and built a wooden house on the spot. Li Zongjio's physical condition was very bad. However, this punch was also the strength of a sovereign. Without a doubt, this was the foundation. No matter how bad one's condition was, it would not be worse than one's foundation. Li Zongjio made a bed and put Qi Yinran on it. He took care of her carefully. He checked Qi Yinran's pulse. It was just that she had overexerted herself and was too tired. She would be able to wake up soon after a few days of recovery. Moreover, the spiritual qi here was very rich, which was very suitable for healing. It was to avoid some unknown dangerous situations. Li Zongjio also swallowed the elixir that he had refined before to recover his spiritual qi. The heavenly demon must have followed us. Li Zongjio recalled the previous battle while recovering his spiritual qi. Although he was controlled by the evil soul eye at the last moment, the stalemate did not last long. Moreover, Li Zongjio just took a look. When he landed, there was no fluctuation of a teleportation formation. To be able to do this, it was basically certain that Li Zongjio had been teleported twice. First, he had been teleported across realms. Then, he had been teleported again. It was a random teleportation in the Holy Martial Realm. Therefore, when he landed, there would not be any traces of a teleportation formation. However, in the Sacred Martial Realm, there must be a teleportation array that can receive people. If he wanted to go back, he would have to find this teleportation formation. However, if he could confirm that this was the Holy Martial Realm, he would not be in a hurry to leave. He would check out the surroundings first. Perhaps it was only possible to break through to the Absolute Saint Realm in this place, with abundant spiritual qi. The surroundings were quiet, but he had to be careful. If the heavenly demon was nearby, he would not be able to escape in his current state. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. During this time, Li Zongjio did not leave Qi Yinran's side. With the help of the elixir, Li Zongjio had recovered about 70% of his spiritual qi. Some of the internal injuries that he had suffered could not be healed with the elixir in his hand. He would need a long time to recuperate, or a higher grade elixir. During these 2 days, the surroundings were calm and peaceful. There was no movement at all. Not even a bird could be seen. Li Zongjio could not help but feel strange. Could it be that there were no living creatures here? How could it be so quiet like a bird? On the 3rd day, Qi Yinran also woke up. Li Zongjio hurriedly helped Qi Yinran up. "How are you?" Li Zongjio checked Qi Yinran's condition. He found that Qi Yinran's spiritual qi had improved during the 3 days of coma. Instead, she had become stronger than before. This was too strange, but it was normal. How could the inheritance that Qi Yinran had received be so easy to digest? It was because Qi Yinran was eager to come out that she had unintentionally broken through a barrier and regained her freedom. Are we in the Holy Martial Realm? Qi Yinran was no longer the ignorant little girl she used to be. It was even possible that she knew more than Li Zongjio. I think so. I don't know the exact location. I haven't left for 2 days. Li Zongjio said. Let me adjust my breath first. Qi Yinran said. Okay. Qi Yinran immediately began to adjust her breath. Li Zongjio also caught a fish in the pond. Although there was no bird, at least there was fish. He set up a fire and boiled the fish soup. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. It seemed that a large number of people were moving. After Li Zongjio heard the movement, he also got up and looked behind him. In the jungle, a large number of soldiers in armor came out. Chapter 1303. Although they were just ordinary soldiers, Li Zongjio exclaimed with a single glance. The equipment of these soldiers was quite excellent. The craftsmanship of the armor, and the material of the armor, were also extremely top-notch. It was obvious that they were much more advanced. Their craftsmanship and standards far exceeded those of the Holy Martial Continent. A large number of soldiers rushed out and surrounded the small wooden house that Li Zongjio wanted him to stay in. Who are you? Why are you at the Celestial Master Mountain? A valiant female general riding a tall warhorse walked out. She sized up the wooden house, and then looked at the iron pot placed on the matchstick in front of Li Zongjio. Celestial Master Mountain? Li Zhongjiu didn't know what kind of place the Celestial Master Mountain was. But one of the cavalrymen behind the woman walked out. It's obvious that you're a spy from the fallen war realm. How dare you defile the Celestial Master Mountain? Take him down. The man shouted sternly. Li Zhongjiu was extremely surprised because the strength of these people in front of him looked very ordinary. Although Li Zhongjiu didn't expect everyone in the Holy Martial Realm to be at the Supremacy Realm, the cavalrymen in front of him were at most at the Origin Ancestor Realm. Moreover, they seemed to be a powerful leader. This made Li Zhongjiu even more surprised. However, even in the Holy Martial Realm, there would be areas where they were lagging behind. This was a very normal thing. Dozens of soldiers immediately surrounded Li Zhongjiu. However, Li Zhongjiu only raised his hand slightly, and a gust of energy blasted all the soldiers away, sending them flying back the way they came. Boom! When the cavalryman saw this, he also shouted and charged at Li Zhongjiu. No! The female cavalryman beside him hurriedly tried to stop him, but it was too late. He was at the profound ancestor realm after all. Therefore, when he charged, a terrifying aura was formed. The spear in his hand was quite interesting. It was inlaid with various energy stones. The wind attribute was used to increase speed. The metal attribute was used to increase penetrating power, and the fire attribute was used to directly burn. The cavalryman stabbed at Li Zhongjiu. However, Li Zhongjiu only stretched out a hand and flicked his finger, sending the cavalryman flying from the back of his horse. Boom! The armor on his body suddenly exploded. After his armor was shattered, he fell to the ground with a loud thud. It was likely that he had suffered quite a heavy fall. Colonel Liao. Immediately, the armored soldiers ran in front of the young man and protected him completely. At the same time, they stared at Li Zhongjiu in front of them with a rather fearful look in their eyes. All of you stop. The female general immediately raised her hand. At the same time, he took off his helmet, swung his long hair, and jumped down from the horse's back. She handed the helmet where the guards. Be careful. Immediately, the guards around her said nervously. The other party's origin was unknown. If they rashly approached and the general was taken hostage, they would be in a very passive position. I am Jiang Bai, the general of the Suishan country in the Battle of Time Realm. May I ask, are you the heavenly master of the Shang country? Jiang Bai's bright eyes stared at Li Zhongjiu, as if he wanted to find an answer from Li Zhongjiu's eyes. However, Li Zhongjiu's eyes only had a puzzled look. Not only was he puzzled by Jiang Bai's words, but he was also puzzled by the messy names. Battle of Time Realm? Heavenly Master of the Shang country? I'm not. Li Zhongjiu also didn't know what a Heavenly Master of the Shang country was. However, seeing how respectful these people were, they should be a group of powerful people. After all, we are new here. We can't be too high profile. Since this is the sacred martial realm, it means that there are many top experts here. Even Li Zhongjiu didn't dare to say that he could win against these experts. For example, the existence of the heavenly demon tribe was far beyond Li Zhongjiu's limit. This was very unexpected for Li Zhongjiu. He didn't expect to meet someone whose strength surpassed his in the sacred martial realm. Even with the cultivation of his previous life, he probably couldn't defeat this guy. Since this is the sacred martial realm, there should be people stronger than the heavenly demon tribe. Therefore, Li Zhongjiu needed to keep a low profile. Jiang Bai saw Li Zhongjiu's denial and was quite puzzled by their battle of time. Immediately he was moved. May I ask if Senior is a secluded cultivator? Have you been in seclusion for hundreds of years? Don't talk so much nonsense to test me. Come here and tell me in detail about the situation here. Li Zhongjiu said as he pointed at Jiang Bai. How dare you? The soldiers around Jiang Bai were furious. What is the meaning of this? Is he treating us as a tour guide? How dare he come here and explain the situation to you? Who do you think you are? Shut up. Jiang Bai scolded. Are all the soldiers around him so blind? Can't you see that he can kill you if he wants to? Even if you brought 500 people, they won't even be enough for him to move his little finger. How dare you make a fuss here? You are simply courting death. Jiang Bai immediately unsheathed his sword. Jiang Bai knew that even if he carried a sword, he wouldn't be able to defend himself. Therefore, he decided to be generous. At least, he wanted to make Li Zongjio happy and feel good. He came to Li Zongjio's side and bowed. Then he directly sat on the ground without any etiquette. Then, Jiang Bai began to explain the situation to Li Zongjio. During the conversation, Jiang Bai guessed that Li Zongjio should be the legendary secluded cultivator. He heard that this kind of person had an extremely high cultivation base and strength. However, they often went into seclusion for an unknown period of time. Every time they came out of seclusion, no one knew when they came out. This kind of person was powerful and carefree. They were pursuing the end of cultivation all their lives. They were unwilling to participate in any of the chaotic battles in this world. However, Jiang Bai hoped to get Li Zongjio's help. After listening for a long time, Li Zongjio finally understood the situation. Currently, the sacred martial realm was divided into upper and lower borders. The upper borders controlled the resources and life and death of the lower borders. At the same time, they also had their own enemies. It could be said that the entire sacred martial realm was divided into two major forces. The fallen cultivators. These cultivators worshipped the power of the demon god. The closest gathering place of the fallen cultivators was called the Fallen Battlefield. It was a vast and resource-rich region, with all kinds of tribes living there. There were three major tribes in the Fallen Battlefield that controlled the situation. Jiang Bai was in the Battle of Time. In the Battle of Time, there were 6 lower kingdoms. In addition to the 6 main kingdoms, there were also many city lords who had formed an alliance directly. Together, they formed the Battle of Time. They fought against the Fallen Battlefield. They blocked the enemy's invasion. Chapter 1304. After listening for a long time, Li Zongjio roughly understood the situation. At present, the most direct contact was the battle between good and evil, between the Fallen Battlefield and the Battle of Time. If the Fallen Battlefield invaded, they would directly swallow up a peaceful territory and change it into a world under their control. They would be reduced to the so-called leadership of the gods and devils. Of course, the upper nation would not sit idly by. At the critical moment, they would step in to stop and turn the situation around. However, the situation was very simple. If one side was strong, the other side would also be strong. The situation would become even more chaotic. Therefore, the situation had not escalated yet. However, the war broke out day and night. They could be attacked by these fallen tribes at any time and place. It was quite dangerous. Especially recently, a major kingdom in the Battle of Time was directly conquered yesterday. This made the situation of the Battle of Time even more critical. Now there was not much territory left in the upper nation. It was almost surrounded by the Fallen Battlefield. However, because of the existence of the Heavenly Master of the upper nation, he would often take action at the critical moment and directly kill the powerful fallen cultivators. Every nation would also establish a Heavenly Master mountain. They prayed and worshipped day and night, praying for the Heavenly Master to come and save the battlefield. Under the upper nation, there were now only 16 battlefields left. However, there were more than 50 battlefields in the Fallen Battlefield. There was a great disparity in strength between the two sides. The Heavenly Master of the upper nation naturally needed to oversee the important places. Sometimes he simply could not care about these situations. Today, the general of the lower nation, Jiang Bai, immediately brought people over after sensing the movement in the Heavenly Master Mountain. Originally, she came to kneel and worship, thinking that a Heavenly Master would come. However, who knew that the person who appeared was someone she had never seen before. Moreover, the person was excessively young, which did not match the image of the Heavenly Master she had seen before. She knew that the person in front of her was most likely not from the Heavenly Master of the upper nation. However, after her subordinate adjunct Liao tested the strength of these people, she thoroughly understood the strength of these people. Therefore, Jiang Bai did not care about the identity of the other party at this moment. Anyway, it was fine as long as he was not from the Fallen Battlefield. Moreover, the Heavenly Master Mountain itself was also protected by the power of the Heavenly Master. The people who could appear here were definitely not simple. The reason why her subordinates were restless all day was because the battle in the past 2 days was too intense. Just call me Li Zongjio. Jiang Bai also addressed him as Cultivator Li Zongjio. Everyone in the sacred martial realm also addressed him as Cultivator Zongjio. At this moment, Qi Yinran finished her cultivation. When she walked out, she saw the situation around her. She was a little worried at first, but after sensing it, she found that these people were very weak, so she was not worried anymore. Yinran, this is the general of the Sui country, Jiang Bai. This is my fiancé, Qi Yinran, Li Zongjio said. He introduced Qi Yinran generously, but Qi Yinran blushed at once. She thought to herself, who is your fiancé? You haven't even proposed. However, Qi Yinran's body was very honest and generously accepted this title. This blockhead was finally enlightened. Greetings, Cultivator Qi. Just call me Yinran. Aren't we disturbing her? Qi Yinran walked in front of Li Zongjio and held Li Zongjio's arm. After seeing Qi Yinran at a close distance, Jiang Bai immediately felt an extremely strong sense of inferiority. The woman in front of him, whether it was her temperament or appearance, was unique and unparalleled in the world. After seeing her, people couldn't take their eyes off her. Jiang Bai thought that he was excellent. At the age of 20, he had killed thousands of fallen cultivators. His outstanding military achievements directly made Jiang Bai the most dazzling young man in the entire Sui country. Countless suitors came to her, but none of them were good enough. In Jiang Bai's eyes, he was also excellent. Ordinary men were not worthy of her. But when he saw Qi Yinran, although he didn't know her better, he compared her temperament in an instant. Even Jiang Bai felt extremely inferior when he saw her. The surrounding soldiers were even more stunned. They didn't even know how to turn their eyes. If Qi Yinran asked them to put down their weapons now, they would willingly put down their weapons without any threat. Humph! Li Zongjio suddenly snorted coldly, awakening these people from their intoxicated state. Everyone felt as if a sudden clap of thunder had exploded in their minds, and their entire bodies instantly sobered up. If Li Zongjio didn't wake these people up, their saliva would probably flow into a river. We're sorry for our rudeness, but the Celestial Master Mountain is too cold and quiet. It's not a place to stay for a long time. My general's mansion has a good guest room. If you don't mind, please come to my mansion. Jiang Bai quickly woke up and said, after taking such a big detour, it was all for the sake of inviting Li Zongjio and Yi Shiwen out of the mountain. If he could get the two of them to take action, those people from the fallen war realm would not be able to pose a threat. Of course, Jiang Bai didn't expect them to take the initiative to help, but in times of crisis they would help. Otherwise, the residents of the Sui country would also fall into an abyss of suffering. The consequences would be terrible. The existence of Jiang Bai and the others was to use their lives to block this threat. Do you want to go? Li Zongjio looked at Qi Yinran. I'll listen to you. Okay, then let's go. Li Zongjio and Qi Yinran both knew Jiang Bai's intention. They had just come from the Shenggu continent, so they weren't clear about the situation here. Therefore, they needed to figure out the situation and find the teleportation array. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to return to the Shenggu continent. Since that was the case, they naturally needed to get in touch with these people to get more information. Jiang Bai's face suddenly revealed a look of surprise. Suddenly, a loud and urgent horn sound came from the sky above the Celestial Master Mountain. Listening to the horn sound, it seemed to resound through the entire sky. When Jiang Bai and the others heard this sound, their faces suddenly changed. Everyone get on your horses. Go to the front line of the city gate. Jiang Bai also took the helmet and sword handed over by his subordinates, then turned and landed on the back of the horse. The two of you, the battle is urgent. Please forgive us if there is any inconvenience. We will come to you after the battle. Jiang Bai's expression was extremely solemn. After he finished speaking, he immediately led the hundreds of soldiers out of Celestial Master Mountain. They did not waste even a second of time. They couldn't care less about continuing to talk with Li Zongjio and the others. In the blink of an eye, they all left. Just after these people left, intense and concentrated sounds of explosions came from afar. Rumble. Qi Yinran glanced at Li Zongjio. Let's go and have a look. I will explain the situation here to you on the way. Okay, Lord Fiancé. Chapter 1305. The city that Jiang Bai and the others were guarding was called Suishan City. There were 1.5 million civilians in the city, and more than 200,000 soldiers were stationed here. But even so, in the face of the attacks of the powerful fallen ones, it was still quite troublesome, and often there would be extremely tragic sacrifices. When Jiang Bai and the others arrived at the city wall, the first wave had already begun fighting. Fortunately, they had powerful firearms provided by the upper country. It was enough to release a powerful artillery attack. The AoE damage caused by these cannons was also quite terrifying. The fallen ones were also extremely wary of these cannons. Sometimes, even if they had to sacrifice more, they would first blow up these cannons. Whether it was in terms of numbers or individual combat ability, these fallen ones were more powerful. Moreover, every attack was unusually fierce, which made it more and more difficult for these people to resist. How's the battle going? Jiang Bai heard the roar of the cannons, and the ground was shaking violently, making people feel incomparably shocked. Outside the city wall, an overwhelming number of figures were rapidly approaching, as if they were not afraid of death, fiercely rushing forward. Reporting to the general, this time, there are a total of 5 tribes in the fallen battlefield, and they are jointly attacking. What? 5? Jiang Bai and the others' faces suddenly changed, and at the same time, they took a pair of binoculars from their subordinates and immediately saw the battle flags of the 5 major tribes fluttering in the wind. Moreover, the chiefs of the 5 major tribes were also fighting, and the people around them were the elders of their respective tribes. They sat on the spacious lathe. There were also fruits and other things in their hands. While admiring the battle in front of them, they also enjoyed the things in their hands. And these people from the fallen clan no longer looked like complete humans. It was more like a combination of humans and beasts. Why do these people look so strange? Qi Yinran and Li Zongjio both flew and landed on the city wall, looking down at the situation below, and were immediately shocked by the appearance of these half-beastmen. There were actually such people, and so many of them. It should be related to the cultivation method, and they gave up some of the characteristics of the human race, so they are called the fallen ones. Li Zongjio thought to himself. That should be the case. He was neither a human nor a ghost. It was a little disgusting to see it appear in front of his eyes. He actually gave up being a good human, and chose to become such a strange half-beast. It was precisely because they had become half-beastmen that they were extremely powerful, and their physiques were incomparable to ordinary humans. Those 5 are almost at the Yuan King realm. Qi Yinran looked at the chiefs of the 5 tribes. In the past, a Yuan monarch was indeed very strong. However, the current Qi Yinran could crush a Yuan monarch to death with a casual flick of her little finger, without any hesitation. The battle at the front line had already begun, and both sides were clashing head-on. The only advantage the human race had was that their equipment was of the highest quality. On the other hand, the beastmen were in an extremely primitive state, and the weapons they used were the simplest stone axes and the like. The construction of the city walls here was also quite special. It was built using a kind of stepped city wall. There were a total of 5 city walls. The first one was also the shortest, about 10 meters tall. The second one was about 50 meters apart, which was double the height of the original one, and was 20 meters tall. The third one was 30 meters tall. The fourth one was 40 meters tall, and the fifth one was 60 meters tall. The 5th city wall was also the last defensive wall. If the enemy rushed to the 5th city wall, it would be equivalent to breaking through more than half of the city wall. Even if they defended to the death, the success rate would not be too high, and they would eventually be overrun. Now there was an extremely fierce battle at the 1st city wall. The enemy's attack was quite fierce, and it was almost impossible to reach. In the blink of an eye, there were countless casualties. The enemy had mobilized at least 1 million people. Moreover, there were also quite a number of experts. The garrison on the 1st city wall was quickly defeated by the enemy. Immediately, the The front line quickly retreated to the second city wall. Previously, Qi Yanran had also seen some advanced weapons in the research center of the White Deer Mansion, which used vitality stones as the power source. However, such products were not very developed in the Holy Martial Continent. However, in the Holy Martial Realm, these origin energy weapons were quite developed. There were all kinds of origin energy weapons, but Qi Yanran took a look and found that they could only deal with ordinary beastmen. For example, the 5 Yuan monarchs could only be harmed by those long, fixed cannons. Otherwise, they would only be able to kill these small soldiers with such weapons. Boom, boom, boom. Those cannons were called origin energy cannons. Every time a cannon was fired, one upper-grade vitality stone would be consumed. Fortunately, upper-grade vitality stones were not considered precious in the Holy Martial Realm. Seeing the boxes of upper-grade vitality stones being used in the battle, Qi Yanran felt quite a bit of heartache. The vitality stones that the Qi family painstakingly mined were being used up here, as if they were worthless. Sure enough, the resources that people of different levels cared about were different. They don't seem to be able to hold on for much longer. Although Li Zongjiu did not know how to fight, it did not take long for the second city wall to be breached. There were more than 10,000 soldiers who died on the city wall alone. Under such a fierce attack, the enemy's morale soared. Finally, one of the tribe leaders held back and wanted to give it a try. After all, such a grand scene was enough to make these people's most primitive animal instincts erupt. Roar! Watch me dismantle those origin energy cannons. The half-beastman tribe leader carried a 3-meter-long stone axe and rushed forward with a leap. Formation breaker, get ready. Follow me to kill the leader of this tribe. Jiang Bai immediately roared when he saw the other party leaving his tent. This gave Jiang Bai an opportunity to strike. The morale of his troops had plummeted. He needed to kill a few important leaders of the other party. Only then would he be able to reinvigorate the morale of his troops. Immediately, the 100 people of the formation breaker were ready to go. There was a special passage on the city wall for Jiang Bai and the others to move. Charge! Facing the hundreds of thousands of fallen soldiers outside the city wall, Jiang Bai did not have the slightest hesitation or fear. In such a battle, if he was afraid, there would only be one end, which was death. The mighty team immediately rushed out. Like a sharp knife, they cut open a gap in the army of the fallen and rushed directly to one of the leaders of the other side, who had come out of the formation. Come on! Immediately, he waved the axe in his hand and chopped off the head of the person in front of him, because they were blocking the way. The capture barracks protected Jiang Bai as they killed their way out, directly attacking the root of the problem. Chapter 1306. The scene of Jiang Bai charging forward bravely was witnessed by the defenders of Suishan City. Immediately, the war drums thundered, stirring the hearts of the people. Everyone waved the weapons in their hands and shouted hysterically, all for the sake of this battle. Seeing that their own general was so brave and fierce, they could not help but respect him. In the face of such a life-and-death battle, he was willing to charge at the forefront. It was no wonder that the soldiers behind him were willing to sacrifice their lives for such a general. Li Zongjiu also looked at the weapon in his hand. It seemed to be quite strong. Adjunct Liao, who had wanted to deal with Li Zongjiu previously, was on the city wall as a reserve commander. However, at this moment, Adjunct Liao was also preparing for his next move. If there was a chance, he would definitely rescue Jiang Bai. They had to support each other, not abandon each other, and not give up on each other. Only then would they be able to resolve this matter perfectly and win this battle. Boom! While Jiang Bai and the others were surrounded, Jiang Bai instantly took out a lightning bead and threw it forward. It formed a large amount of lightning energy and directly killed a large number of beastmen. However, at this moment, the beastman leader took the initiative to charge towards Jiang Bai. He leaped up and chopped down with the giant axe in his hand. Immediately, he chopped down on the ground, forming an extremely terrifying explosive force that spread out in all directions. Rumble! Immediately, the defensive troops of the capture barracks were directly defeated by the opponent's axe. Boom! At least a dozen corpses were sent flying in the air. It was an extremely tragic end. Jiang Bai's body was obstructed, but there was also a floating shield in front of him. With this shield, he was able to block a lot of the shockwaves and stop his body. Fortunately, the power was not too strong. Although Jiang Bai's strength was only at the Yuan Zone realm, with the help of the weapon in his hand, it was enough to create a considerable amount of power. At least, the effect that he could exert was relatively strong. It was enough to be on par with the Yuan King expert. Come on! Jiang Bai had experience fighting against Yuan monarchs, but he had never managed to kill one. If Yuan monarchs were so easy to kill, this battle wouldn't have been so difficult. It was unknown how many lives had been lost. Although the number of soldiers in Shuishan City was sufficient, most of them were just rookies and couldn't form much of an effective fighting force. However, as long as they persevered through today, these people would also become experienced veterans on the battlefield. Their usefulness would be unimaginably powerful. There were less than 20 brothers of the formation breaker left, and they didn't think of escaping. Instead, they guarded Jiang Bai and killed all the orc troops that surrounded them. The more he killed, the slower the blade in his hand became. They immediately looked at each other. One by one they detonated a button in their hands. Immediately, dozens of terrifying powers spread out and exploded. The power of these explosions turned all the half-beastmen within a radius of 10 meters into powder. But at the same time, he also turned into a bloody mist. Immediately, the blood mist filled the air, condensing and not dispersing. Seeing this scene, the people on the city walls all clenched the weapons in their hands. Facing these beastmen who were about to charge up, they all gave their most furious attacks. He turned his grief and anger into strength. He killed all the people in front of him. Boom! Streaks of terrifying power were released. This battle was quite effective. Jiang Bai also used all her means. Li Zhongjie could see that Jiang Bai's strength wasn't very good, and the gap between her and the opponent was quite obvious. However, some of the origin energy weapons in Jiang Bai's hands were quite powerful. She could easily blast people into pieces. Among them, Jiang Bai also had a shield in her hand, which was enough to resist the opponent's attack and rebound all the power of the opponent's attack. Clang! Clang! Jiang Bai's figure retreated again and again. She felt the power of the opponent's attack. When the attack came, Jiang Bai kept retreating. Although the opponent's power was blocked by the origin energy weapons in her hand. However, the remaining force was enough to force her back to this point. Damn it! Jiang Bai always held a dagger in her hand, and she was looking for an opportunity to stab the half-beastman in front of her with the dagger. As long as she stabbed the half-beastman, she would be able to kill him. At this moment, Jiang Bai was also enduring the force of the other party's attacks. Jiang Bai felt as if his arms were about to break. Then, Jiang Bai's heart sank slightly. The continuous resistance made the half-beastman leader in front of her impatient. After a few continuous attacks, he finally revealed a flaw. However, just as this flaw appeared, a figure quickly attacked. Boom! A person appeared directly from the side. Then a huge iron staff swung over. When Jiang Bai saw this, he felt a strong gust of wind slapping his face. Bang! Jiang Bai was directly sent flying. Her figure suddenly flew hundreds of meters away. Puff! Jiang Bai directly spat out a mouthful of blood. This sudden attack caught Jiang Bai off guard, and she couldn't even resist the terrifying power. Jiang Bai was instantly seriously injured and fell to the ground. When the people in Shuishan City saw this scene, they immediately felt distressed. Seeing their general in such a dangerous situation made them even more nervous, and they immediately wanted to rush out of the city. General! General! Everyone roared angrily. Even Adjunct Liao directly ordered people to open the city gate, but the guards in charge of the city gate had already received General Jiang Bai's order. If she died outside, they must not open the gate. Adjunct Liao, the overall situation is more important. Adjunct Liao, the overall situation is more important. Please think thrice before you act. Everyone stepped forward and said. However, this also caused Adjunct Liao to be immediately blocked, and he even missed the best opportunity to rescue Jiang Bai. If he also went down, there would be no one on the city wall to guard and command, and the result would be that the city wall would be breached. Jiang Bai turned over and stood up, but she no longer had the strength to resist the attack of the half-beastmen. The half-beastmen around her were about to swallow Jiang Bai. At this moment, a white figure descended from the sky. Boom! After the person landed, he directly released a strong impact, and directly sent the half-beastman within a radius of 500 meters flying. It directly formed a vacuum zone. Boom! Boom! Even the 2 orc leaders were sent flying by the impact. Chapter 1307. When he saw the person in front of him, Jiang Bai heaved a sigh of relief. However, when Jiang Bai saw the changes brought about by this person, he was shocked. It was the girl just now. Jiang Bai originally thought that Li Zongjio would be the one to attack. After all, Li Zongjio was the one who looked strong. However, when he saw Qi Yinran in front of him, he was stunned. All of a sudden he was stunned. Was Qi Yinran's strength also so strong? No, it seemed that Qi Yinran's strength was even stronger than Li Zongjio's. Roar! Seeing this, the 2 orc leaders immediately roared. They couldn't wait to kill Qi Yinran in front of them. She had actually sent them flying just now. However, at this moment, they were in a killing frenzy. Naturally, they didn't care about these things. They must kill Qi Yinran as well. Boom! Immediately, the 2 of them burst out with terrifying power and charged toward Qi Yinran and Jiang Bai. Miss Qi, be careful. These 2 are Yuan kings. Jiang Bai said hurriedly. Qi Yinran waved her hand gently. Suddenly, a white light swept out from her wrist. Boom! The white light instantly turned into a cold light and blasted toward the 2 orcs. Whoosh! Whoosh! The white light flashed gently and split the 2 Yuan monarch beastmen in front of him into 2 halves. Obviously, the light in her hand was extremely sharp. At the same time, Qi Yinran waved her hand. Before the orcs in the surroundings could react, the white light easily passed through their bodies. These orcs were easily cut into 2 halves. Bang! 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 Immediately, these beastmen were split in half with a loud bang. Bang! 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 Within a radius of 1,000 meters, the half-beastmen were instantly killed wherever they passed. Blood continued to gush out from the wound. Immediately, it spread out and converged into a river of blood. The originally boiling battle cries also instantly quieted down, causing everyone to feel quite shocked and extremely shocked. Even the people in Suishan City were stunned. All the soldiers rubbed their eyes. They weren't mistaken, were they? There were at least 1,000,000 fallen ones. Just a moment ago, they were as lively as a pot of boiling water. Now, they had become a pool of blood in the blink of an eye. Blood continued to gather. Blood gushed out of the wound non-stop. Qi Yinran grabbed Jiang Bai with one hand and leaped back to the city wall. Jiang Bai only felt his eyes flicker for a moment before he found himself back on the city wall. It was truly too miraculous and shocking. The young lady seemed to be around the same age as her. But what did she do? With a wave of her hand, she annihilated the half-beastman army. Was this really happening? Could it be that she was hallucinating? Even if the real heavenly master of the Upper Kingdom came, he might not have such means. It wasn't just these ordinary orcs. In fact, even the 3 leaders who had yet to make a move were directly obliterated. Indiscriminate attacks had obliterated all of them. All dead. Everyone's eyes were also filled with shock and horror. When they saw this scene, they even confirmed with their comrades that they were not dreaming. Liao Kanjun and the others on the city wall gasped when they saw this scene. When they looked at Qi Yinran, the look in his eyes had already changed from amazement to complete worship. She was a god. A goddess. She must be the goddess of the holy heavens. The goddess of the holy heavens. The one who attacked just now must be the legendary goddess of the holy heavens. Someone shouted loudly. The goddess of the holy heavens had easily obliterated millions of half-beastmen. Wiping out the 5 fallen armies in front of him left everyone feeling incomparably shocked. They were even more excited and shocked. The goddess of the holy heavens. The goddess of the holy heavens. Everyone shouted loudly. Jiang Bai also realized that Qi Yinran's attack had completely convinced the soldiers in front of him. Are you really? Jiang Bai looked at the person in front of him in disbelief. However, Qi Yinran only shook her head gently. You can deal with the rest yourself. Qi Yinran did not want to see such a good girl sacrificed in vain. In such a long period of war, it was extremely easy for many respected and worshipped war heroes to appear. However, many people would be forgotten or even forgotten by others. It was difficult to get in touch with them and understand them. Therefore, Qi Yinran also hoped that she could save some of this tragedy. Immediately, Qi Yinran's figure flashed and disappeared on the spot. Then she appeared beside Li Zongjio. Jiang Bai also ordered to go out of the city to clean up the battlefield. At least, they had to pick up the corpses of their brothers from the formation breaker. At the same time, Jiang Bai had already made a plan to counterattack. The other side occupied the frontier fortress, which was why they could form such a large-scale joint attack. At this moment, most of the other side's elite troops were lost here. However, the combat power of Suishan City did not suffer too much loss. Immediately, these people set off to take down this important passage. You won't blame me for changing their fate, right? Qi Yinran returned to Li Zongjio's side. She asked softly. Everyone had their own fate. Even in the view of many cultivators, the great Tao could not be violated. If something happened, they naturally needed to maintain the status quo. Because changing a person's fate was very likely to cause a chain reaction. It would cause a series of effects, and sometimes even have some bad effects on oneself. Li Zongjio looked at Qi Yinran in confusion. What's wrong with that? A real expert goes against the heavens. If he wants to go against the heavens, he will go against the heavens. If he wants to go against the Tao, he will go against the Tao. No one in the world can stop him from doing anything. Li Zongjio said heroically. One had to know that Li Zongjio had always believed in these things. As the evil lord of this generation, he did not need anything else. As long as he was strong, he naturally had everything else. Therefore, Li Zongjio did not care about other people's opinions. As for what was the heavens and the Tao, it was hard to say. However, as long as he adhered to his own heart, there would be no problem. At least in Li Zongjio's opinion. Even this time, he even came back to life to go against the heavens and change the fate of the entire Li family. To change all the disasters and pain in his previous life. Of course, only those with great strength could achieve this. Chapter 1308. Nearly 1 million fallen ones were wiped out. Even the people who were cleaning up the battlefield could not believe such a shocking scene. Every corpse had died in an extremely straightforward manner. Not only were they severed, but before their bodies were severed, they had already lost all signs of life. She was indeed the saintess. Everyone was also muttering the name of the saintess. After all, only the legendary saintess could do such a thing. Obviously, Jiang Bai did not explain so much. Instead of telling them that she did not know the identities of Qi Yinran and Jiang Bai, it was better to just admit that they were mysterious. After Qi Yinran's attack, Adjunct Liao, who was originally biased against Li Zongjio, did not dare to say anything at this moment. He did not even dare to act rashly in front of Li Zongjio, because they could not stop Li Zongjio's skills. The strength that Qi Yinran displayed was extremely terrifying. She was as powerful as the legendary saintess. It was possible that she was really the saintess of the holy altar. The battlefield was cleaned up for a day. That night, Jiang Bai directly led people to attack the Black Snake Ridge Fortress. This place was an important place. If they could take it down, it would greatly improve the pace of their attack, and at the same time, stop the Fallen War Realm's attack. It was a very beautiful battle. Order 50,000 people to patrol and station here. If they find anyone from the Fallen War Realm, kill them without mercy. In addition, immediately dispatch 20,000 craftsmen from the city to build the Black Snake Ridge Fortress. Jiang Bai said as she sat on the warhorse. When she looked around, she saw that the country under her feet had been conquered again. Such a long-awaited victory was quite rare for Jiang Bai. It should be known that under the current situation, the human clan cultivators could only bitterly resist the attacks of the half-orcs. In the end, they could only be defeated. Once it was breached, who knew how many humans would be sacrificed? At that time, they would find that more and more people were sacrificed. There were fewer and fewer survivors. If the fallen war mirror were to devour the entire continent one day, who knew what kind of scene it would be? It was precisely because of the urgent battle situation that they were in such a predicament. Countless generals had already died in front of them. Therefore, when it came to Jiang Bai, she was directly promoted to the position of general. Fortunately, Jiang Bai's strength wasn't weak. At first, these soldiers thought that they were going to die. They didn't expect such a girl to be the leader of an army of 200,000 soldiers. However, the strength and boldness that Jiang Bai displayed made these people truly feel the terror of his strength. Moreover, today's victory would definitely reach the ears of the Sui Kingdom's king. This time, he would definitely be rewarded and rewarded. It would make people envious. All in all, taking back the Black Snake Mountain Fortress was equivalent to stabilizing his territory. Furthermore, the 5 tribes of the Fallen War territory could be considered the main force. Now all of them had died in battle without a single survivor. This could be considered a heavy blow to the Fallen War realm. At the very least, it would allow the countries in the War of Time to take a breather. Immediately, the people of Suishan City started to move frantically. If they moved a little faster, they would have a higher chance of survival, and they would be able to save more people. Jiang Bai also ordered people to prepare some precious gifts. There were several pieces of transcendent-grade primordial stones. After coming to Suishan City again, he asked around and found out that Li Zhongjiu and Jiang Bai were staying in an inn in the city. Now the inn's business couldn't be done at all. It wasn't easy for 2 guests to come, and this made the innkeeper very happy. He wanted to extort a good sum of money from them. After all, it was chaotic these days. Who knew if they would stay here today and lose their heads the next day? However, on the second day, the hero of Suishan City, General Jiang Bai, came personally. General Jiang Bai was brave and good at fighting. Moreover, he had charged at the front lines many times. His outstanding achievements were remembered by the people, so they naturally knew his identity. When he saw Jiang Bai, the manager welcomed him with a smile. There's no need to be so polite. Let me ask you, where are the 2 guests who stayed yesterday? After all, only the soldiers were able to see the grand scene of the Saintess killing millions of fallen soldiers with a single move. As for the others, they hadn't seen it with their own eyes. They had only heard of it. Therefore, they didn't know the identity of Qi Yinran and Jiang Bai. However, the 2 of them seemed to be from outside the city. Moreover, they were quite generous when they took out 2 high-grade primordial stones. That was why the manager had the guts to rob them. They're resting upstairs. Did the 2 of them commit a crime? The manager was a little nervous. I heard that your inn is famous for being unscrupulous. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you offend the 2 of them, your entire family can forget about living. Jiang Bai glanced at the shopkeeper. When Jiang Bai was talking to Li Zhongjiu, his attitude was gentle. However, this did not mean that Jiang Bai was also gentle when talking to these people. In fact, it was very obvious. I dare not. It's just a small business, a small business. The manager hurriedly retreated after hearing Jiang Bai's words. He was thinking about when to return the 2 high-grade primordial stones. After all, it was a large sum of money. If the 2 of them knew that he was deliberately cheating them of their money, the consequences would be troublesome. Perhaps what General Jiang Bai said would be true. You guys go back to the barracks first. If you have any problems, you can report to me at any time. Jiang Bai said to several of his deputies. At least one of you should stay. In case something happens, we have to take care of each other. A deputy general said. His general liked to be direct and efficient like this. He was never sloppy. Go down. Adjunct Liao, you go down too. Jiang Bai added. What, General? Adjunct Liao was stunned. Jiang Bai also noticed that Adjunct Liao was arrogant and had a feeling that he wanted to target Li Zhongjiu. This was a very dangerous signal. After all, according to Jiang Bai's observation, Li Zhongjiu was actually a more powerful person. Otherwise, why would a strong person like Qi Yinran follow such a young man? As for Adjunct Liao, looking at his eagerness, Jiang Bai didn't know what he would do. Jiang Bai, this is not a battlefield. Do you want to order me around? Come on, take Adjunct Liao away. Several deputies looked a little embarrassed, but soon they became firm. Although Adjunct Liao was a relative of the emperor, in the army, Jiang Bai had the highest authority. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.